Hey, Patriots fans, if you want to see Toyota's best offers, including those not seen on TV, go to buyatoyota.com. It's Toyota's official website for deals from the official vehicle of the New England Patriots. Toyota, let's go places!
Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
Did we ever get to the bottom of that play?
Nope.
No, but here's the thing. What they were doing was hoping for a muff, because you can fair catch that pooch, right?
Yep.
Drop it.
It's a live ball.
It's the same as a kickoff.
Correct.
Fred's at a loss. I don't know.
Evan, I heard that you are directing a new movie called Brokeback Mountain.
That's a PFW cover right there.
I didn't really care for that movie. Anyways,
He knows my bag of tricks on the cheerleader front, I guess.
Yeah, I
they're
think so.
walking away. The cheerleaders are walking away. They look back and they say, "Come with me." Like that's my move.
Taekwon, Mr. 428, takes 4 years off my life running the damn route. Run the damn route, dude.
Wow, ball.
How are you doing, Bill? How are you coping with all of this? Who cares?
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
All right, welcome to Patriots Unfiltered. It is Wednesday here at Gillette Stadium, and so it's Turn the Page Day, and I turn the page, and I have a nightmare because
I don't like what's on the next page.
it's the Buffalo Bills. That used to be a game where I would look forward to because it was going to be a win, but over the last 4 years or so,
Yeah,
I think
the turntables
have turned.
7-1.
The last time we had a chance to beat them, Cam Newton fumbled, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, the win game.
Oh, the
Yeah.
win game.
Yeah,
The win game,
I
they
forget
actually
about
won,
that, right?
but, yeah.
Win game.
Yeah.
They actually won that one.
Yeah.
They won that one.
We did.
Miles
we
Bryant.
win that one.
That's the 1 and the 1 and 7.
Yep.
Yeah.
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 But this is going to be a tough one.
How did Cam almost do that? I can have Russ saying I keep wow, that game was close, and then I remember what the heck happened.
If I'm not mistaken, that was the first game
didn't they,
out of the 7, and
Yeah.
Buffalo still had that thing. Like, at some point, the Jets are going to beat the Patriots, too. Maybe it'll be the last game this year. But, you don't think that had anything to do with the Patriots beating the Jets in Week 3?
Oh,
like, the
of
fact
course.
that they constantly
Yeah, the
lose to
pressure.
the Patriots?
Yeah.
And I think that was the first one out of these 7 games that Evan just talked about, was the Cam Newton fumble game.
Yeah.
What was the one that Jonathan Jones had head-to-head contact with him, and did Josh Allen go out? Was that 19? I mean, I know it was here, but I don't remember. It was in.
Oh, see, I
think
remember
it was
that
in
being.
Buffalo.
Yeah, no, that
it was in Buffalo.
Yeah.
and
I think it was 19.
that's a game that Buffalo
19
was
game.
probably going to win
Yeah.
if that didn't happen. I think Matt Barkley had to come in.
Yeah.
We might need something like that to happen this week.
Well,
It
he
happened
does have a
last week, and
shoulder
it still
injury.
didn't help.
He does have a shoulder injury.
Yeah, that's true.
Superman is hurt.
He
All
has
right.
not run as much this year.
No.
22 carries.
Yeah, they've been trying to manage him. I'm disappointed that Tamara's not here though, because I would allow her to tell the story of my love affair with Josh Allen now, and she's not here to tell the whole story.
Oh my
so
God.
I don't know if it's gonna land the same, but
All right.
She's in L.A. She's shooting a commercial.
I'm sorry, what?
Very famous. Yeah.
What is she doing?
Yeah.
Shooting a commercial.
Yeah. Well, you can't give her.
For-
It's not for us.
No,
It's
not for
a
us.
Side,
Nothing to do with football.
side hustle,
It's a little,
Paul.
it's a
Side
little-
hustle.
It's a little side fun that she's in L.A.
Oh.
Yeah, living the dream.
During the season, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we got the Bills to talk
25
about.
years been waiting for
How might the Patriots pull this off? It's I think I heard it's 9.5 underdog, home dog right now.
8.5.
8.5?
Oh, it went down.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, Evan laid out everything of how they've done recently, but it's hard to make a case to yourself and, legitimately talk yourself into how the Patriots could pull it off unless there's, something miraculous happens, whether it's the weather or a Josh Allen injury or, something like that.
Well, let me ask a
Turnovers.
question to the group. The Bills' offense has been sporadic this year.
Yeah.
They've had good games,
That
and
is
then
correct.
and
Yep.
so when they have a bad game, what is the deal?
Clunky at the wrong points, just making
Turnovers.
dumb. Yeah, I mean, that's always a part of it, but I think, too, it's just weird stuff happens. I think Paul talked about it with the last game where, get no problem to the 40, the plus 40, but then stuff happens. Guys run into each other. It's
Yeah, I watched the Sunday night game, and it was weird because I never watched and said, wow, the Bills' offense is really struggling tonight. But then you look up, and they had no points going into the fourth quarter. Now, it's a little deceiving because they only had 2 possessions in the second half. really.
crazy.
And they scored touchdowns on both of them. And then they got the ball at the end and didn't get the first down because Dawson Knox dropped that ball. So technically 3 possessions. But they had like a 10-minute drive for a touchdown and then got the ball back again and had like an 8-minute drive for a touchdown. And that was how they got their 14 points. And all of a sudden the game is over. It was just one of those games with very few possessions. Now, I guess if you could somehow figure out a way to do that, but the key to that, I thought, for the Giants Sunday night was they were possessing the ball. And the Patriots really haven't shown the ability to do that. I could see a scenario where the Patriots, I don't know, maybe they cause a punt or two. But
I could
so optimistic.
I could see the scenario.
Well, that's what they did last game.
Yeah.
And you had a chance to win. They caused 2 punts.
It's just when you say it
Like,
that way.
but that's the reality of what we're doing. I'm not trying to be
No.
I know I'm normally swinging from the hip and being snarky, but
Now it's real.
I'm going with that's all gone now. I got to be careful now. This is real.
Yeah.
This is not what's going to prevent us from hosting the AFC Championship game anymore.
Right.
This is real.
Yeah.
This is like what's going to prevent you from having the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah. I mean, Josh Allen, it's just his uncanny ability to make plays, even when you've got him cornered. And I just think that's something that is so tough with the Patriots pass rush because you have to get to him, and first you have to disrupt him out of the pocket, but then a whole nother part of this story begins where it's getting him and, holding coverage and not allowing him to make those throws like he made last year where he's, 1 foot halfway out of bounds and then just fires it back for a touchdown. I wouldn't say I love watching him because what he's done to the Patriots, but you have to respect how talented and deadly he is until the play is over. And just for a defense that's struggling to get pressure right now, they're banged up on the back end. You can't even really roll Jonathan Jones out there, and even he, going back and looking at some of the stats of how he matched up against Diggs the last couple times, is not good. Not good. He's given up a bunch of catches to him and a couple touchdowns. So, what do they pull out of the bag this week? Even when they had their full contingent in the last couple of years, their defense, you had Judon, you had, everybody was kind of out there. It's hard to see what the plan's going to be.
I saw one, X and O analysis of what's going on with them, and in this particular scenario, Josh, they claim that Allen was forcing it to Diggs too much. He wasn't seeing the field, that there's guys there, and he's locked in on Diggs too often, and that sometimes hurts them.
Well, they don't really have any secondary receiving threats right now. Like, Gabe Davis is an okay player, and they drafted Dalton Kincaid in the first round, but he hasn't really panned out quite yet. So really their offense, and this is kind of what I'm writing about in game plan, they've been trying for like a couple years now to be less Allen and Diggs centric, like because it seems like their offense too often comes down to just Allen and Diggs playing hero ball and them just making something happen. Yeah. And when you get into the playoffs, like, this isn't about the Patriots. Like, this is about their Super Bowl aspirations. And then when you get into the playoffs and you have to win left-handed, they can't.
Right.
Like, they don't have a plan B. Their plan A is as good as anybody's plan A in the entire NFL. But if their plan A has a bad day, then they don't really have a plan B. So they've been trying to, run the ball a little bit more traditionally, like from under center, and not using Allen as a runner, as Paul pointed out, or drafting Kincaid to try to get somebody else besides Stephon Diggs that can be a consistent threat. But every time the Patriots play the Bills, I feel like the Bills are a Tesla and the Patriots are like a Model T in terms of the offenses and the philosophy. Even like the Bills are as they are one of the best modern franchises in the league. Like, they are
great kicker.
Yeah,
Great
exactly my point.
Medikevich.
They are, their offense is like people like me that love the analytics and love the film and stuff. Like, their offense is what the nerds want football to be played like nowadays. They're an aggressive early down passing offense. They have this cyborg playing quarterback. They have a number one superstar receiver, and they are just all gas, no brakes. And if you're a team like the Patriots, all you need to, you just need to hope that they don't just run you the
So what did the Giants do in the first half?
So my whole thing with how, if you want to try to figure this out, I call Josh Allen Captain Chaos, right? Like he is one of those quarterbacks that, like Deuce was saying, he just thrives in chaos. Like if you can get pressure, you can hold up in the back end, and he's just gonna run around and find out, right? Like that's just who he is as a player. And I think for Belichick, what makes that so difficult is there's such a rules-based defense. Like there's such a do your job, fundamental, and all this kind of stuff. But what happens when the other guy's a cheat code? Like, and you can sit there and play great coverage, and he's still going to beat you. So I think what the Giants did, and Wink Martindale is a notorious blitzer and just aggressive defensive coordinator. And what the Giants did, what the Jets do a little bit, is they fight chaos with chaos. Like if you're gonna be chaotic and you're gonna play that way, we're gonna send different pressure looks at you. We're gonna spin the dial in the back end, and you are never gonna know what we are in. Like you are never gonna just line up across from you and play you straight up.
I mean, that sounds like something the Patriots defense has done well in the past: is spin the dial, give the quarterback different looks, try to confuse him and all that. But right now, because of the injuries, I don't know if they have all the the little notches on their dial now available to them.
You know what I'm kind of remembering is there was a point, I don't know, 09, 10, something like that. One of the years they were really having trouble getting after the quarterback, and then all of a sudden they just started putting like one defensive lineman down, and everybody else is like walking around, and it was just kind of felt like drastic times. Call for drastic
called it
measures.
the cocktail party.
The cocktail party. Everybody's walking around. Like I don't know if they can go to that on base downs, anything like that.
They call it an amoeba.
An amoeba. So I wonder if something like that is coming. Some kind of just like drastic kind of change to try.
I think the game the other night was about the Giants' offense. The Giants' offense stayed on the field and kept Josh Allen on the sideline. I mean, I'm just looking in the turnovers. The turnovers were huge. They went 3-and-out to start the game. Buffalo did. Then they drove 40 yards and fumbled, 38 yards. Then they missed a field goal and had a pick.
Just like that.
And all of a sudden, you don't score. Now the second half, it was touchdown, missed field goal. They had three possessions.
Right.
But
what were those drives like? Touchdown.
17-84, 12-70, and then the last one they took over in field goal range and missed the field goal.
12 minutes?
No, 12 plays,
12
70
plays.
Yards.
Okay.
It was 10 minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
That's
a long drive.
9:58. So what the Giants did was they possessed the ball in the first half.
Do you have what the final
32-28.
Okay.
And that's with a 10-minute touchdown drive for Buffalo. They still didn't have the ball for 4 minutes more than the Giants did.
Yeah.
So, it's easy to sit here and say, that's what the Patriots have to do. Well, how do you do that? But how do you possess the ball when you haven't been able to move the ball all year?
I also just think the Bills, they can score so quickly. So I like, as much as you want to say possess the ball, like they can just score in 30 seconds, and it's like,
and that's what the Giants did a good job of making them go slow, which is kind of like what the Patriots did in the Thursday night game last year. Yeah. And everybody sort of criticized, myself included. Well, if you're just going to sit back and let them do that, and they win 24-10 instead of 34-24, what's the difference? Mm-hmm. Would be my argument. But I think the Giants did a little of that in the Sunday night game. And I actually thought we're talking about all these things that are wrong with Buffalo. They've had a few games where they've been slowed down. They've also had a few games that they've been typically their dominant selves.
Yeah.
So which one you're going to get on Sunday.
Right.
My guess is you're going to get the better version of Buffalo's offense, because it was 3 weeks in a row where they were up in the upper 30s and into the 40s, and then then they had 20 in London and then 14. I actually, from a Buffalo perspective, and I agree with Evan, I kind of like Josh Allen. I like watching him play, even though he's in the division.
Definitely respect him.
I came out of the game Sunday night with Buffalo from their perspective, saying that's a game that they always lose. It's a tight game. They lose a lot of close games. It was a tight game throughout. They looked like they weren't quite sharp. This is a game that Buffalo always finds a way to lose, and they won.
By the skin of their teeth.
Yeah. Now the game ended in. I thought that McDermott.
The game ended in the Giants' hands, though. Right?
At the 1 yard line.
The 1 yard line.
I know.
And
untimed down.
Yeah. Now we can get to that stuff too, but I thought McDermott did a disservice in the game. I don't think they should have tried that field goal that they missed at the end, which would have made it an 8-point game. I would have just punted and tried to pin him inside the 10 and made Tyrod Taylor go 90 yards in 2 minutes
For a touchdown, yeah.
to see if he could do it. Instead, you gave him the ball at the 43-yard line. Now, I know he doesn't expect to miss the field goal. The guy literally had his first 2 misses of any kicks all season in that game.
Yeah.
But I
kicker
thought
in
that
the
was a
league.
mistake. The end of the game, did you see any at the end of the game, Fred? Well, it came down. They
Fast asleep.
the Bills defense did a good job. They made them go like 5 yards at a time and take the clock all the way down. There was 9 seconds left. They were at the 15.
Yeah.
And then Tyrod Taylor ran on the play to make it down to 2 seconds from the 10. Then they threw a pass in the end zone that got called for pass interference, which was a very cheesy call on the pass interference. Then the next play was an untimed down from the 1, and the guy absolutely abused Darren Waller. I don't have any idea how they didn't call pass interference on the second one. It was one of the most blatant pass interferences you'll ever see. They should have had another untimed down from the half-yard line. I also wondered why they didn't run. And I know they ran at the end of the first half.
The play call by the Giants on that last play was brutal. I mean, like, you have the one thing that Tyrod has going for him is that he can run. So, like, how you don't, like, put some sort of look on with his legs involved. They just, like, straight drop back, play action past it and try to, like, hit like a
I
pop
thought that
pass.
was weird.
Yeah.
And I they had it covered too. I thought he did a good job, but he
Yes,
definitely
Teron Johnson's a good
definitely
player.
interfered with him.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no question. I thought the first one that gave him the second chance was a little ticky-tack. That one was not. I can't believe they didn't call Johnson for that one.
This Bills offense, like, this is their MO though. They're a volatile group. Like, they're either, like I said, they're either running you over or they're having games like they had last week, and that's what they're trying to coach out of this group, and that's why they are trying to find like a traditional running game, and there are like just things that you can just lean on when like Allen's nonsense like isn't working for whatever reason. They can go to something else and be more consistent.
Paul, do you think maybe, like you said, that's usually a game they lose? Do you feel like maybe this is something they're finding a little
positive
bit?
sign,
Maybe a positive turn for
and
them?
I think back to the Monday night game that they a horrific loss to start the season in the Aaron Rodgers game. I actually looked at it as it didn't work, but they lined the first time they got inside the 10, they lined up under center, put Damian Harris in the game, and tried to run it in like every other team does. And, they didn't score a lot of points that night. The offense wasn't good in that game. But I just thought maybe they have sort of looked at some of the things that they've fallen short at. Now, last year notwithstanding, last year they had a complete and utter collapse in their playoff loss to Cincinnati. They got dominated on both sides of the ball for 60 minutes. The bulk of their playoff losses, the offense has been pretty good, especially the one 2 years ago in Kansas City. Was an unbelievable shootout. So I wouldn't necessarily say they have to do things differently other than you got to try to protect Josh Allen.
Yeah.
And I do think that that's part of it. I think there have been times where he would have run in the past, and I think he's really trying to say, okay, we're in the middle of October. Do we really need this third down more than that third down? And he still does it in the goal line. I think he has 3 out of 22 carries. 3 of them are rushing touchdowns. So he's still doing it, I think, when he gets down in the red zone and stuff. But he also still does, like, really reckless things.
Yeah.
Like the game-winning touchdown pass was no. Oh, great.
Oh, Josh Allen.
Got it.
Like it was a terrible decision.
And those are the things that just, as a defensive guy like Belichick, like that just has to be absolutely maddening. Like, we got pressure, we covered it perfectly, and then he just does some stupid thing that no one else should do
Did you
in
see
their
the
world.
end zone look of that play?
Yeah, it's
He
ridiculous.
threw that. The first of all, it was like a third tight end who only played because Dalton Kincaid didn't play that night. It was the first time the guy was targeted all year.
Morris.
He wasn't looking, and there was a giant right next to him when he threw the ball. Like,
He gets away
That's
with it.
Mac. It's like going.
well, if it's
going
Mac,
the
it
other
would have
way.
taken a half hour to get there, and a guy would have turned. I'm being serious. That's like Elway can do that. Josh Allen can do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody else can't.
So it's going to be a monumental task. Normally, like if the Patriots were a dog against an AFC East, you say, well, division game, they'll figure out a way to keep it close, like they did earlier with Miami. And obviously they beat the Jets, but the Patriots are going the wrong direction. And I don't know. I don't know what they can do to keep this one close. I actually
think that they might not do anything to keep it close. But for Buffalo, like, this reminds me, like you mentioned, Fred, like, the Patriots are other teams like get right games right now. This reminds me of like a take care of business game for Buffalo. Like Josh Allen's banged up a little bit. He's got a shoulder injury. He's going to practice, I think McDermott said, but he's going to be limited. And they don't need to bring their A-plus stuff to this game to beat the Patriots.
Well, frankly, the last time that Buffalo played here, they didn't have their foot on the gas the whole game.
That's sort of the type of game that I'm predicting.
That was a business-like Thursday night road win.
Right.
That's
they
sort
blew
of what
them
I'm
out in the
predicting.
first half and coasted in the second.
Yeah.
Hey, and the Patriots used to do this for 20 years, right? Where we're a little banged up, where we have this, next week is a bigger game or something like that. We're just gonna score 20.
They're underestimating the Patriots.
No, it's just like
I'm sure they are.
If the score,
I don't think it matters.
If the score, I just don't anticipate they're going to lose by 30 because I don't think Buffalo is going to come out. Dallas was motivated in that game after losing to the Cardinals, and they destroyed the Patriots. I would say that the Bills are more in the take care of business category in this one.
And the health of the Bills' defense, I think, will make it difficult for them to blow them out, because that's how they usually blow teams out, is when they get their offense rolling, then that pass rush causes turnovers, but everybody's missing from the Bills' defense. I mean, they're missing like 5 starters. So the pass rush seems to be still intact health-wise. Leonard Floyd and Epinesa and those guys. Von Miller was pretty active in that last drive the other night, even though he didn't get any sacks. And I don't know, it's hard to record pressures, so it's hard to tell.
Who's to say?
He had one.
Did he have one?
In that last
officially?
drive.
But he was definitely flashing on that drive, and I'm sure that bothered.
Scary
Taylor.
thinking about him going into that mix with those guys
But
already.
Milano's loss is huge.
He's out.
Daquan Jones's loss is huge in the middle
Trey
for
White.
them, and Trey White is
all
out.
3 levels.
They had who was the other one? Was it Dane Jackson? Who's the other? Who's the corner?
Dane Jackson.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Is he the
I
guy who
think-
missed the game?
I think so, because
And,
Benford was out
yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Johnson
okay.
was out there.
Yeah, so Jackson, who was probably their third corner, because they had to play Elam, who has been really bad. He's a first-round bust for them.
Yep.
Kyer Elam. Christian Benford has played pretty well, but this is like the old thing that Freddie always talks about. Everybody has to slide up a notch, and Benford's probably pretty good as a second banana.
Right.
But now you got no Trey White. I like Taron Johnson. I agree with Evan on.
He's one of the best
on
nickels
Taron
in the
Johnson.
league. Yeah.
That
But
Terrell
they're a
Bernard
little-
guys made some plays too in
Yeah.
replacement of what's his face that went to Chicago.
But he's small, and he's the guy who got called for pass interference in the end zone.
That's what I would like.
There's some vulnerability there in the middle.
Yeah, if you're looking at where the Patriots offense could find some hay in this game, it's probably running the ball. Like those linebackers, like the Bills had Milano and Edmonds for years, and that was one of the best linebacker duos in the league. This is not that. Like, they don't have those 2 guys anymore, and both the guys that they're playing in there, because they play so much zone coverage, they're smaller, to play in space and coverage. So the Giants, even though it didn't add up to, I think it was like 3.9 a carry or something like that, but Barkley had a few big runs.
Well, in that last
game.
drive that they ended up, and this is another one that Dable, the Giants probably should have won the game. Like, that drive that Evan's talking about in the fourth quarter was like 19 yards, 34 yards. They get effortlessly down the field. They had third down and like this much. Here you go. That much, guys. And he throws the ball with Taylor. He goes for a bigger play, and they're in the red zone, and it's incomplete. And I'm thinking, well, okay, you took a shot for a touchdown there. They're going to go for it.
Yeah.
He kicks the field goal to take the 9-7 lead. I'm like, you got it. Like, you had them on the run. I mean, what are the odds that they were going to come up with a stop there on the run? I know they stopped them in the goal line, and I think they stopped a 3rd and short earlier in the game. But at that time in the game, I thought the Bills' defense looked vulnerable to the run, and Barkley was sort of heating up.
Yeah, you can run downhill on this Bills team. Like, they're smaller. Daquan Jones is not healthy. The linebackers are smaller and aren't the same talent level as the guys they used to have in there. And, they play that over front, and the Patriots have always pulled a lot of guards against Buffalo and ran it down their throats. And I do think you can do that. Now, are they going to be able to throw it on the Bills? They couldn't throw it on the Bills even when Brady was here, once McDermott got there. So it's been a little bit rough.
That's what I was going to say, Poyer and Hyde. It was just, it's kind of like McCourty and Chung, just a long-term safety duo that knows what to do, knows where everybody are at. And, I mean, we've seen, how many picks they've had on Mac, a couple at least. I don't remember the playoff one Aguilar, but those guys are really good too on the back end.
In terms of the Patriots' health, it's probably better to talk about who's available rather than who's out because it's a long list. And
expect that to get longer as these losses pile up.
Now, the Patriots practiced Tuesday, a rare Tuesday practice. Did they issue a participation report?
They don't have
They'll
to.
get it to us on Wednesday.
They don't have to?
No,
Yeah.
it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll see today, Evan. I mean, I'm curious when Evan goes out, which of those veterans
Yeah.
are.
Now, McDermott's back.
On the
Connor McDermott.
Connor McDermott.
He was signed to the practice squad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so
I would expect him to be
they'll elevate him.
elevated. Yeah.
Right.
If he's healthy, yeah. If he's ready to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think everybody is at this point, like, just surprised they couldn't find something else to swap in there, for Vidarian Lowe. So I'm hopeful. I'm kind of hopeful, like, just to change it up a little bit.
Another item of minutia in terms of injuries. Bill indicated today
yes.
that Riley Reif's injury last week was something different than what had originally sidelined him. So that's not good.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
saw Riley Reif limping around the locker room yesterday with a sleeve on his right leg. And
So
it
he opened the season on IR.
did
He
not
came
look
back and played okay at guard, I thought.
Yeah,
and most people
For
thought.
like 3/4 of a game, and
And
then
then
he went back out.
And then he was inactive last week. He was an early inactive, didn't make the trip to Vegas. And Bill indicated today that it was something different than had originally sidelined him. So that's not good,
Antonio Maffi,
Yeah.
for better or worse.
Yeah.
Ed Oliver. Jeez.
Yeah.
See, Ed Oliver's one of those interior defensive linemen I really like. But you can run at him a little bit. But he's good, like
Can
all
somebody
around.
teach Antonio Maffi how to pick up a stunt? Like, please.
I
Like,
noticed that
just
too.
like
Yeah.
get like Scar's coming here this weekend, right? Like, can we just get him to stop by for like a couple hours and just be like, this is what you do, okay? Like, this is what you do when they do this.
It's funny because, like, Onwenu, I mean, I don't know what the exact measurements are, but, like, Onwenu's similar squarish body type, but he's got some foot movement skills. Like, I just feel like Maffi is so heavy-footed.
I think it's
and
recognition on the stunts. Like, I just don't think he sees them coming. And, like, I that's what frustrates me about it because, like, to me, like, you should be able to coach him up. Like, I don't think that it's like he is too slow to, like, foot speed wise to react to it. I just don't, like, his eyes are in the wrong places and he doesn't see it coming. And it's like, come on, like, this is going on. And now teams are just doing it on purpose just to mess with him, right? Like, they're doing it over and over and over again and making him do it.
And
and
until he
can't.
picks one up, he's going to keep seeing them.
Yeah.
As Evan reported yesterday, Jack Jones returned to the practice field. Is he available right away? I know they have to make a
they'd have to
decision
put him on the roster.
21
Yeah,
days.
by Saturday.
by 3 weeks, but he could play.
He could
On
play
s-
Sunday.
Yeah, they
yes.
could activate
Yeah.
him on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it'd be a nice little boost for him just because it seems like Jonathan Jones is really
He's hurt.
He's hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, he's fighting through things right now. I don't know when he is going to be healthy, and it's just tough. It's tough. I mean, maybe J.C. Jackson's starting to, get a little bit more situated, I guess, but I don't know. He kind of feels like he is what he is, and
Yeah, I thought Mike Pellegrino had some interesting answers about JC yesterday, and he said to me that if JC makes a mistake that you see on the tape, it's my fault, like Pellegrino's fault. And he's like, that like he's making some mental errors right now, and it's because we're not, we got to coach him better. Like, we got to coach him up on some of the things that he's making mistakes on. I thought in terms of like actual coverage, JC was really good in that game against Vegas. I mean, they took a couple shots against him, and he was blanketing the guys. So I think a lot of the mental stuff, the coaches are kind of taking responsibility for that. So hopefully that will eventually get better.
do you remember him going up against Diggs at all? Did he have any?
Oh, it was horrible.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 The Monday night game when
In
I was
2020,
Remember
right?
when I was in a coma and I couldn't make? Do you remember? I'm serious.
Yes.
It's the only.
Yeah,
It's literally the only
Through your
game I've ever missed
deliriousness.
for illness in my life. That game was just a track meet. That was the infamous Louis Riddick. They think they have a plan for Josh Allen.
I
And it
think
was-
I think Diggs had 3 touchdowns on him in that game.
yeah.
Oh, jeez. I
Yeah.
didn't even realize bringing that up. I
Yeah,
forgot.
and then 21 in Buffalo. JC
Playoff game.
No. In the regular season, I think JC had an interception, but Diggs had a big touch. It was like kind of like a 2 haymaker type situation.
Diggs is never. It's one of the rare one guy on the other team never beats the Patriots. He always has been
It's like
productive.
salt in the wound,
I
Paul.
think he has 6 touchdowns
it.
in 6 games
Yeah.
against the
No,
Patriots.
they can't stop him.
As a Bill. I mean,
Yeah.
not counting what he did against. When he
He's
was on
been their
Minnesota.
kryptonite. kid, like probably like more so I would say even than Tyreek Hill in some ways. Like at least they've in some games against Tyreek Hill they've like kind of solved that problem with Diggs. They
like he averages about 90 yards.
It's
a game.
It's not the same
Patriots.
as Brady and Edelman, but it's just like how is he open on 3rd and 8? Like how are you not covering him? You know, like they just somehow are able to execute plays when like it's going to Diggs, it's going to go to Diggs, and it goes to Diggs, and there's just you're powerless to stop it.
That's the key. That's what a top flight receiver can do, and that's why they're such big difference makers. They get open, even when you try to stop them.
It's really hard to bracket him because he's so good at running vertical routes, and like the problems with brackets is like, all right, you got him if he goes inside, I got him if he goes outside, but who got him if he goes deep, right? Like that's like always the issue. So you can't bracket him. Because he's so good at going deep, but then if you just put one guy on him, even if he has safety help over the top, he's so good underneath. So that it's just like, you know, what do you really do? You know, to take him out.
You got a high, low, and inside, outside. You got to put 4 guys on him.
There you go.
Yeah, and they have to be fast. Yeah.
Maybe physical too.
Yeah, pretty strong too.
All right,
Christian Gonzalez can do it.
855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket Hotline. Web radio at patriots.com is the email address. Something that caught my eye this morning. I didn't know. I don't want to digress too much, but Caleb Williams says whoever he gets drafted by, he wants a piece of the team.
Yeah.
Where does he come off?
Okay, so do I.
Where do you come off?
Well, that's also illegal. You can't.
Well, yeah, but like, why? Like, I'm a little worried about this guy.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm getting there as well.
Yeah.
Usually I poo-poo you on some of those things. I don't on this.
Yeah.
You know, the whole NIL thing and now this.
Yeah.
Like,
USC.
is this guy worth the hassle?
Yeah.
It's so funny. I was thinking that same thing this morning, and I was like, oh, maybe I should bring that up on the show. And then I was just imagining you guys be like, oh, you don't want him now because he's like, oh, he's a little bit too touchy.
I'm
like,
a little worried.
But I like everybody's the same
no.
way of being like, yeah, that's kind of weird.
I
like,
worry I worry about how much he cares about football.
Yeah.
Like, does he care more about this stuff than anything else? That's all. I mean, I think he could play.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care about the 3. I mean, he had a terrible game the other night.
Why would you put that out? I mean, do you think it was put out there, or is that kind of I don't know. Like, why would you put that out
It did
there?
originate from Pro Football Talk, right?
Yeah.
So it's in question.
All right. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Little college.
I'm slowly starting to be a Drake May guy. Like I'm already a Drake May guy as the number 2 quarterback
I need
behind
to look
Caleb
at him.
Williams.
I need to get my
You
scouting.
haven't delved in?
I haven't looked
Our
at
lads
Drake
doesn't
May
come
yet.
out till like April.
Yeah, he's
that's
dead. He's screwed.
Drake
And-
May
and the
is
beast.
The beast.
He's just cool, you know. Like he's got that like
Swag.
Herbert Burrow, just
like that.
cool swagginess to him. And I don't think that he's like
How tall is he?
a diva like Caleb Williams, like 6'4", 6'5".
I like that too.
I also kind of like the guys that are dominant with less traditional programs than, you know, like the Mac effect.
He's a winner.
You know, but like he lifts those around him. Like North Carolina is a good team. Okay, I'm not telling you this is, you know, Vanderbilt, but they're a good team, but they're not a blue blood like in like they are in basketball. And so, you know, I think Oklahoma, USC for Caleb Williams, there's a lot of NFL players that is there. I don't know if they'll have as many for North Carolina. They've had some good skill guys in recent years, North Carolina.
Couple receivers.
Yeah,
Isn't that where we got Jimmy Hitchcock from?
Yeah.
He was NC State, I believe.
Oh, NC State.
We like those guys. Javonte Williams was that one?
Yep.
I think Javonte Williams
Josh
was one.
Downs,
Michael
obviously.
Carter,
Downs,
the
Carter.
pass catching
Diami
running back for
Brown.
the Jets.
Yeah.
Receiver.
Yeah, got a good program going on.
Yeah, they do.
Good program.
Well,
Matt Brown's a good coach.
they're very good at recruiting like those spots though. Like they're
Yeah.
like the skill positions, quarterback. Their line play is terrible.
Do you guys put a lot of stock into like I'd never draft a fill in the blank position from fill in the blank school?
No, but I do think there's some validity to some of it.
Yeah.
Like the Ohio State quarterback thing,
Yeah.
you know.
That's the only one that because their offense is like really unique to Ohio State, and a lot of those quarterbacks fail because like they have very weird kind of details in that offense that are, you know, drop backs, like how they like their quarterbacks to drop back, and progressions and things like that are all like backwards. So
But like going back a ways though, like, you know, even when it's historical and, you know, I just am always like, well, are the systems kind of consistent through, you know, like 20 years of, you know, I would never draft a whatever from.
I do fall into I like to draft X from programs that have success with that. Like, you know, the old Penn State linebacker thing, you know, offensive lineman from Wisconsin or even Boston College has had a lot of good NFL offensive linemen over the years.
they have another one this year.
Yeah. So I do fall into that. Whereas the programs that know how to
Wisconsin.
sort of create,
Yeah.
certain spots.
Still kind of the SEC, though.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Above. Linemen from SEC. Both
All right, 855-PATS-500. Let's go to the phones, get people involved. Matthew's in New Mexico. What's up, Matthew?
Hey guys, how's it going? Right now it's just like a hard place. I don't know how old Evan is, but I'm 27, and like my memory of watching the Patriots goes to like the 2002 season. And I love Bill. Like I want Bill to be the coach, and I want him to finish. I want him to get the record and everything. But if you're Robert Kraft, and like let's say the season goes, like we have the 4th pick, or let's just say, for right now, what does Bill have to do to earn like the trust and like his plan, or is it literally just too far gone? Like he's lost the locker room, like these guys seem like they don't want to play for him, and like Devontae Parker, and yeah, that's why I guess that's my question is like what?
Yeah, that's a
what
good
does Bill have
question.
to do?
If they have that 4th pick, and let's say they're in line to get a top quarterback that they really like, what Bill has to do, I think, is cede some control. I think on the personnel
Absolutely
side.
terrified of him making that pick. Terrified.
Yeah.
Well, but that's my point. He wouldn't be making the pick.
But what are you more terrified of, him making the pick or him coaching the player that he picks?
Both. Especially because it should be an offensive player, and it
All right,
just
him picking the quarterback or coaching the quarterback? I'll
Both.
make it more specific.
I don't know. He didn't do such a bad job, coaching Tom Brady.
Here we go.
No, I'm serious, right? It was a young guy who.
I just think that guy's gone. Like in
Yeah.
terms of
Well-
Bill, like I just think that coach is gone, and I also like if you're drafting one of these young quarterbacks now, like you have to. These guys are different cats. Like we just talked about it with Caleb Williams, and like if you're not, like it's just a different thing. Like he rode Brady. Like I just don't think you can do that with today's athlete.
Yeah.
Also,
I just-
in retrospect, I kind of think that I don't know. Maybe Brady deserves a little more credit for his development than we gave him at the time. I don't know.
No, I'm Brady is Brady, but I mean, even Brady says no. He helped me.
I mean, I think
He's the best coach who's ever
Yeah.
done it.
Right.
I'm sure he helped him.
Right.
it's almost like you'd like him in a consultant role just to like provide his depth of knowledge of the game, but on a day-to-day kind of basis of handling the person and figuring out what buttons to push. It's hard. I mean, I watched a little of Mike McDaniel mic'd up on the sidelines, and like as much as he's
That was wild.
But man, it's like talk about just an absolute polar opposite human being
God.
than Bill Belichick. And I mean, like there's more than one ways to coach a football team, but it's just
I mean,
glaring when
he's
you
in
watch
the middle of
him.
the game, and he goes up to one of the linesmen, the chain gang. He's like, I almost wore that vest today. And he's got the red vest on.
I mean, it sounded like me on the sidelines. I'm like, what are you
he's-
doing, you
He's
goofball?
cracking jokes
Like-
in the middle of the game.
Well, he met the refs, and he's like, good firm handshake and eye contact from both of you. I appreciate that. Like, he's just such a
You're giving me
goofball.
respect.
Do you
That's
think-
why you guys are great.
Like I know it's
I love Mike McDaniel.
I know, I
know
like
it's
it
funny,
too.
and
I
I love
respect
it too.
it.
Do you
It's
think
great.
do you think it's real? Do you think it's authentic?
I kind
do.
of do. I like it. I mean, I was going to bring up Dan Campbell a different way, but I don't know. I've seen enough of it now that it just seems like this is who he is
Yeah.
constantly.
I
I
mean,
think
it
it
is
is.
kinda-
I think it's authentic.
I think you're probably right, and I do find it refreshing because I thought you made a good point just now, just about there's a lot of different ways to have success coaching. You don't have to sleep in your office for 18 hours
Yeah.
in every day. But I just wonder sometimes with those guys, and I think if you're true to yourself, I think the players
They can tell that.
they figure out if you're trying to be something you're not. I think that's been a problem for the Belichick coaching tree.
Yeah, it was
is-
certainly a problem with McDaniels when he went to Denver. He tried to be Bill, and right down to the twirling of the whistle
Right.
and the hoodie.
And that was a big thing for Matty P in Detroit.
Right.
He's
Yep.
like chastising the media and
I think what stands out to me is he just doesn't take himself that seriously, and I feel like everyone in this place takes themselves very seriously, and you better take them seriously too, and that's how it's going to be at all times, and it's kind of disarming when you see an NFL coach that's like that, but then is also respected because he's pushing the game forward offensively, and he's bringing
now he's
these twists
becoming
that-
as they've gotten better. He's becoming
he's-
more and more
he's feeling
loose. So I
himself
think
a little bit,
I
yeah.
think he feels more free to be himself.
Yeah.
But I think this is who he is. If they were losing, I think he'd be a little bit more reserved, only because I better watch myself.
Yeah.
You know.
I agree.
But he's a character.
See him next week.
Yeah. I like
Yay.
it. I'm not one of these people that he's, that's not how a head coach should be. No, listen. If
How do you feel about Miami's chances right now overall, like in the playoffs? Like, I mean, like, how would you kind of
as
what
good
would you,
as
how
any
would you
as
give the
good as
field
any
right now?
teams.
Hell, I mean,
Yeah.
I think they're. I mean, obviously every team deals with that to a huge extent, but obviously the history of their quarterback
Yeah.
would worry me.
Sure.
But that's a team that I think that the seeding is going to be huge for.
I do too.
If they play in Miami, I don't think you're slowing that team down.
That's exactly the point I was going to
with
make.
their,
is just
with a reasonable,
they got to go to
healthy
Buffalo in
complement.
January though, or
Now even last year they went up to Buffalo in that playoff game and they lost a shootout with Skylar Thompson.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good offense.
All right, let's go to Al in Wisconsin. What's up, Al?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Okay.
Hey, before I make my point, Fred, are you giving Evan hazard pay for having to rewatch these games over and over again?
Oh, he loves it.
He does.
That's true.
Those are two fair points, though.
That
You
is
should maybe
true.
pay Jess.
But yeah, my main point was about Bill and whether he would be let go during the season. And I got to say, like, as a fan, I don't really care if he's let go during the season or not. But what would really help me out is just a sense from ownership of where we're going in the future. Like, if he's not going to be the coach, just let us know, hey, we're playing this out and then we're moving on, because as long as there's not that, there's always going to kind of be that sinking feeling that, oh, we might just go forward with this.
No, I hear you. In terms of wanting to know, but what team has ever announced that they're going to be getting rid of a coach before the day that they actually do it?
They are completely lame
You know,
duck
it's
status.
just
nothing they say is going to have any weight at all.
Right,
anymore,
you can't do
and
that. But I hear you.
Yeah,
I mean, we're all anxious, but I hear. Yeah.
You just got to watch the games and see, what happens. I mean, the previous caller, what could he do? I mean, win games. You win games this year. I don't think it comes down to what can he do in the draft. Like, by the time we get to that point, a decision already has
But
to be
even
made.
Teddy Bruschi, who you probably won't find a bigger fan of Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
What does he hope for Bill Belichick? He
go
hopes that he
fishing with
turns it around, wins some games, and then walks away.
Yeah.
know?
I mean, it would be a good way to go out if it does that. He pulls out a couple upsets, games that we haven't seen in the last couple years. So, maybe you pull something out of your butt down in Miami and you knock off the Dolphins and you hold them to a certain amount of points and, you're able to squeak one out. And, like those,
Yeah.
We're not going to the playoffs, but I think there are still some things that you can at least try to end it on a high note.
If you were going to split these two games, Buffalo, Miami.
This one I'd say they get this one and they lose.
No. Which one would you rather have?
Oh, rather have?
Buffalo.
Yeah, I think Buffalo.
I would take the Miami one.
Yeah, I mean,
In Miami, shutting down that.
I
offense.
think it's a better win, but I think I just want to be Buffalo.
They've been kicking our butts.
See, I hate both teams.
And I
both
don't
teams have
want to
been
lose
kicking
to
our
the
butts,
Jets at home. We got to win that game.
Would that be the one you pick out of the three?
Yeah.
I'm with Fred.
I mean,
really, you
yeah.
guys.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they could be.
I would much rather upset. I don't look at it as an upset.
Well,
with the
because
Jets.
I don't. Winning games against Buffalo and Miami to what end?
Right.
Oh,
Like what?
but
what
it's
what
all
we,
to what end?
Yeah.
Well, at
Right,
least you want to
Mike
keep
just
the
said-
streak going.
Right,
Mike
exactly.
just said it like perfectly.
They're not
like
going to the
No,
playoffs.
but
No,
that'd be 16 in a row. You don't
Yeah,
want to break the
exactly.
streak.
You don't want to break the
cares?
streak.
But I think even if they
100%.
were like 1-15 going into that last Jets game, it like juice, like let's go. We
Oh
gotta
yeah,
win
we gotta
this
win
one.
this game.
Win
And,
it.
and then-
Win one
and
more.
what does that do to them? Like, let's
Yeah.
just say that they continue winning, and like they're kind of
right.
Rogers is on this this
comes
whole
back
new
in.
thing with the Elytras surgery.
Right,
Like
But
he thinks he's going to have a chance.
Al's gone.
He thinks
But
he's gonna have a
let's just
chance.
say
I don't
that,
know
you
about that game. I mean,
Yeah.
in January.
But let's just
that
say
game's in
they're-
January.
Let's just say they're fighting for their life, and we still beat them.
Oh, and if you hold the Jets, like you only win 2 games those years, but they're
I
both
don't
against
really
the
get
Jets,
much-
and you hold them out of the playoffs.
that would do nothing for me.
Oh,
It would do
it does a
nothing
lot
for
for
me.
me.
I agree
Oh,
with
it does
Fred.
a
The
lot
other
for
two
me.
teams.
But we held the Jets out of the playoffs.
That's
the other
it.
two teams own me.
Yeah.
Like I want to.
No,
I
you're
want
right.
to stop that.
Nah,
Stop
yeah.
it. Stop it.
No,
We'll do
you
that
can't-
next year. We'll take
No,
care
no,
of that
I-
next year.
You can't let the streak
Yeah,
end.
to be sure, I'm not like pitching. I'd rather beat the Jets than these two teams. Like it means nothing. But I just, in a vacuum,
it doesn't mean nothing.
Yeah.
At least they have dominance over something
right.
still.
Right. Right. You don't want to let them up off the mat.
No.
I think
man.
it just continues a lot of negative numbers.
Yeah.
I don't know, 16 in a row. That's a positive number to me.
Yeah.
No, but not when that's the only team you beat.
That's okay. It's
that'd be
okay.
now going
At
on
least
4+
At
years.
least that. At least
It's
that.
hilarious.
They're not going
I mean,
anywhere.
with 10
Might
games
as well
under
just keep
500,
this streak
20
going.
games under if you take the Jets out. I mean,
And let's
I
just
don't
say
like
that. Let's just say this is it for Bill. His last win was against the Jets.
Right.
He would
Now,
want that too.
If
Yeah.
it's his last game, that I would probably go to USA.
Yeah, I
Like,
was
I'd
kind of
li-
thinking that as well.
Like if it's his last game that he coaches in the NFL, I think I would like him to go out with a win.
You want something on the line for the Jets too, though, right? Like you don't want that to be just a.
Oh yeah,
one of those
like
games where
in
nothing.
19 when the Dolphins beat the Patriots to knock them out
Yeah.
of the first
Right.
round bye. Like,
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe the Patriots knock the Jets out of the playoffs.
Sure.
Bill
Yeah.
wins his last
Love it.
game against
Love
the Jets.
it.
The streak's
Success.
still alive.
Love it.
I would. That's like almost like another Super Bowl.
Joel's in San Antonio.
All right,
Hey,
all
Joel.
right. You guys are making some
guys.
points. I like it.
What's up, Joel?
Thank you for taking my call. I'm gonna be as brief as I can. So yesterday, I tried to get an email in. Unfortunately, it didn't get talked about. But I cannot help to see the similarities of as a franchise of the Spurs and the Patriots with the runs that we have had here in San Antonio and the Pats up there. And the similarities of the coaching style of Pop and Bill. So right now, I'm seeing in real time how the arch has come from the Spurs moving on from the Big Three and the down, and we haven't won a championship here since 2014. And now that we got Wemby, things are looking on the up and up and with a bright future. So basically my point is that, yes, Bill has missed on a lot of picks. There's no question about it. And probably Mac is not the guy. But I'm simply just not ready to give up on Bill after 4 losing seasons, theoretically like that, because, like I said, I'm seeing it in real time what a little bit of patience can do to kind of like correct the future.
Yeah, but the only thing I would say, Joel, I
forward
hear
to
what
hearing
you're
back
saying,
from
but
him
in
after the
basketball, one guy can make a difference.
Right.
And
Right. I
and
think
it's less of
completely different sport.
and coaches make less of a difference in the NBA than in football, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're talking about two goats, right? The goat in basketball, the goat in football.
Oh,
And
I don't think
That's-
I don't
I
think
don't-
you guys have the goat in basketball
That's
that you think
that's
you do.
the wrong thing to say in this town, Joel.
True that. Red Auerbach might have something to say about that.
Thank you.
As
But-
much as I don't like Phil Jackson, I'd put Phil Jackson light years ahead of him too.
And it's just that, just after 4 years of losing, it sucks. It really sucks to see the team look like that. But I'm just not ready to give up just yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We've heard from more people like you, Joel,
Yeah, no, it's
in the
good.
last day or two, which is good.
I like the
Give
balance.
us some balance, exactly.
Thanks,
Freddie.
Joel.
I'm with Fred said it spot on though. Like Wemby could change if he's as good as everybody thinks he is. That whole franchise
Right.
flips.
Yeah.
The Spurs also won with Kawhi Leonard as like their best player. Like Duncan was at the
a
end.
star.
He was at the end of his run there, and Kawhi was the MVP of the finals.
And
in
Kawhi won
14.
another one,
Yeah.
outside. So
Yeah.
that's again another mark
Little
against.
Just-
Pop.
I don't
But,
know. I don't know Spurs
Mike,
history
Mike,
that much.
Victor,
I was going to put a Tony
the Wemby,
Parker.
The Wemby
no, I know this
is
one.
Victor
I knew,
Wembanyama.
No, I got it.
Okay,
I
he
got
was
it.
the number 1 overall pick.
I was going to try to
He
make a Tony Parker
is-
point.
I
too,
wanted to
but
make
maybe
sure
you're
you
out of
knew
my
who he
depth.
was.
You're out of your
He
depth.
he dunked the other day from like the free throw line without jumping. It was unbelievable.
Did you see the alley oop he had in one of those?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it wasn't even the guy who threw the pass said it wasn't an alley oop.
Yeah.
He's just so
he
tall.
just went.
But then he has like handles though. Like he's like 7'3" and he can dunk like
With
that.
a perimeter game.
But with the perimeter, yeah, it's like Durant is like kind of the closest thing I can think of, but he's taller than Durant.
Yep.
He is taller.
Mm.
Yeah.
Tim's in Providence. Hey,
playing
Tim.
the center, or are they playing?
Hey,
Whatever
Hey.
his position is.
Positionless
Tamara's
basketball.
not there
now.
today, huh?
Tamara is not here. She's away.
Evidently, she just
Sorry.
gets time off.
Out
for
of town.
the Middle of the season. I don't know.
Okay.
She was the only
I've
one that
never
got my
known.
name right last week.
Oh,
Tim?
Everybody thought I was Ken.
Oh.
Oh.
sorry.
Okay.
It's because it's written on the.
It's just Ken.
I'm actually from Massachusetts, but you guys thought I had a Rhode Island accent. But
So
I don't know.
Okay.
Ken from Rhode Island.
But you're living in Providence, right?
No, I work down here.
Oh, okay. All right. Is
the
this you
accent
just
is,
chatting, or do you have a? You want to? What are we doing?
I mean, should we
No. I had
send a message
thought, and
to
I wanted to
Tamara?
see what you guys thought about this.
Okay.
So I actually don't think the Patriots, presuming they're going to have a high draft pick, I think if they're not going to have the first, which they're probably not going to have because, Carolina's awful, so Chicago's going to have that pick. And if they're not going to have the second pick or third pick, and I'm presuming that those top two quarterbacks are going to go there, I actually think they should pass on a quarterback in the first round and get a lineman is actually what I think they should do. I mean, I just think when you look at the free agents that are available 2024 for linemen and the problems they're having, and seems to all stem from there, that I think in the risk of taking a quarterback in the first round, I just think back to all the first-round quarterbacks that have been taken that haven't panned out. And I just think, that's what they should be doing, is looking for key pieces and then keep drafting quarterbacks in the second, third round, and hope they've put enough pieces around in the upcoming drafts at the line and the wide receiver position to give a kid a chance, because you can't just keep drafting kids and then putting them in terrible positions.
Yep. No, I hear you. I mean, okay, so let's say they have fourth or fifth pick, and the quarterback they love is gone. I could see them trading down, and I wouldn't be screaming bloody murder if they did it. But you have to, not too far, down toward the lower middle of the first round, and picking up an extra second or more. And as long as they pick the right players,
Well, there's always good players to be found. I'm scared of that 5 to 10 range where, and I mean, Evan's made some good points about this. Like, go up. Like, if you know the guy and you want the guy. I mean, talk to Paul about when the Patriots drafted Drew Bledsoe. It turned everything around. Not that they had to go up and get him, but that's what teams do.
But it's tough when it's a quarterback, because if the other team wants a quarterback, that's there. Why are they going to give that up?
Yeah, but I do think it's going to, and I mean, I haven't even really touched the draft yet, but, they need a lot. I mean, and as much as people would go crazy about, drafting a tackle over a quarterback that you're kind of feel like Mac about.
I'm just going to be up front and tell you I would go crazy
if they took a tackle
in the top
Agreed.
10.
Well, what would you take, though? We're talking abstract here. If there wasn't a quarterback or a wide
Marvin
receiver
Harrison
if there wasn't a quarterback or a wide
Somebody
receiver
who
that
can
wasn't
impact games.
Brock Bowers.
But not on defense.
Oh, I mean, if it was
so you'd rather have a linebacker or something.
If it's like a Micah Parsons type guy on defense, I'd be, I just don't know if that exists right now. I mean, I'm sure there's really good players. I'm not a college football expert. I like to watch a lot of games. I don't do so with an eye toward who's going to be, at the top of the draft. A lot of people do that.
Unfortunately, it's becoming my job earlier than usual.
I like to just kind of watch the games and enjoy them for the games without necessarily saying, "Oh, is he coming out or is he eligible for the draft?" Whatever.
Is he a five-tool safety?
If it was like a Micah Parsons kind of defensive player who can sort of inject all kinds of life into your defense right away, sure. But otherwise, all the suggestions that Evan had about skill guys, I'd be looking at.
You can do your Micah Parsons on your own time.
I want all your options first.
Yeah, I hear you.
Marvin Harrison, yes.
So there's really three quarterbacks that are going to go, I think, in the top 10, and obviously Caleb Williams and Drake May are the first two, and I think Penix from Washington is going to go top 10 as well. So those three guys, I think, are all better than, talent-wise. Like, I always hate when people are like, oh, that guy's better already than Mac Jones. It's like he's never played it down in the NFL. Like, you don't know that. But he's more physically gifted than Mac Jones is.
That's easy to see.
Yeah, and so those three guys are the quarterbacks. I'm gonna butcher his name, but Olo Fushanu is the tackle, and then Joe Alt is the other tackle. Like, those are the two tackles that are going to be up near the top, and then obviously you have Harrison and Brock Bowers, who are like the two skill players, and like I just named like 7 guys. Like, that's kind of your top 10. Like, you're the defensive players in this draft are not getting nearly as much buzz as those guys are.
The gross thing too is I took a little just looky-loo at free agency and just like what the free agency class looks like, and it's like, ugh, like you're not going to rebuild your team in free agency.
The year to draft, the year to get a free agent tackle was last year. Like, there was some good tackles available in free agency.
Yeah.
Some of them high-priced guys like Orlando Brown, but some of them, middle-tier guys.
Yeah.
And
Connor McDermott,
they weren't
Riley Reif,
They weren't interested in any of
Calvin
them.
Anderson.
Nice.
It's Christian in Attleboro. Is this Chris with a T-I-A-N?
Yes, that's me. Thanks for taking my call. I wanted to ask you guys about Matt Groh, because I feel like there's been a lot of reports in the past weeks, even like, I don't know, I guess year, where he seemed like he has more say than what most people think he does. And so with, I think there was a thing about Malik Cunningham. He has a say in that, Bill O'Brien said, and then 2022 draft, and then the Trent Brown incentives this year. How much do we trust Matt Groh moving forward with this team as a GM?
Well, did he draft Cole Strange?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. I think we were at a place maybe last year where we were like, just let Matt Groh do it. And, the draft picks haven't worked out. They haven't panned out. Christian Gonzalez fell in your lap, but otherwise you haven't really picked what you needed. So I don't know. I don't know.
I like when the guys are done with us.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm glad that the caller brought up Matt Groh, because I feel like he's been absolved of blame for all of this, because Bill is Bill, and everybody just assumes that everything is every decision's made is by Bill, and I don't necessarily disagree with that, but at the same time, like I do hold a little bit against Matt Groh that he's not a little bit more.
Did the caller say he read a report that Matt Groh has more power than people think?
It's just
I think
that's the way it's trending.
yesterday they asked Bill O'Brien about the Malik Cunningham.
I'll get to it in a second.
The Malik Cunningham elevation, and Bill O'Brien said that was a Matt and Bill thing. So I think
Who said it?
Bill O'Brien yesterday said that was a Bill and Matt thing as far as promoting Malik Cunningham.
Oh,
so
okay.
I think maybe he was extrapolating a little bit.
Right. Like, making a decision to sort of elevate a guy from the practice squad isn't necessarily he has more power than you think. Like, whose decision was it to say we didn't need a tackle in free agency? Bill Belichick's. And this is what ends up happening traditionally when things are going bad. Now, we haven't had a lot of these because things haven't gone bad all that often in 20 years. But when they do, personnel-wise, this is what happens. It's not just all Belichick. It's not all Belichick. But those same kind of anonymous guys are quick to point out when, like, they draft N'Keal Harry, that it wasn't the scouts that identified N'Keal Harry. It was Bill who overruled the scouts.
Right.
And he went to his college coach buddy Todd Graham and said, "Oh yeah, this is the guy. He's a 3-down guy. He could be a 4-down guy for you and contribute in the kicking game and blah blah blah." All the scouts are very quick to cover their you-know-whats that way. But when it's something that you want to sort of trumpet in the positive way, it's not all Bill.
Right.
It's not all Bill. I think a lot of this is going on right now.
Tie that into
everybody either wants credit for the things that are going well or wants to separate themselves from blame from anything that's not.
Yeah, because all these guys are looking for the next job.
Yes.
They're
all concerned about that.
And
I'm less worried about like who's doing what
guy.
and whose like responsibility is what than I am like Matt Groh. I know that Matt Groh recognizes the way that the game is played nowadays. Like, I know he sees
you want fast guys.
The
you
trade wins,
draft guys that run fast.
Trending in a certain direction. I know that he sees the value in number one receivers. I know that he sees the value in offense. And, like, I hold it against him that he didn't stand up to Bill more. Like, you have to go in to every once in a while, you got to tell the boss, hey, listen, like, this isn't going to cut it. And, like, if you think it is, then, like, that's on you. But, like, this isn't.
But who drafted Tyquan Thornton?
I'm not saying that Matt Groh is. I'm blaming Matt Groh. Like
he thinks Matt Groh deserves more blame.
Yes,
that was the
100%.
But for not speaking up.
Just in general,
I'm talking about who made the choice.
Yeah, but
I would say Bill Belichick.
And
I think he has.
I don't know.
I think he has the final say in everything.
And then add that to the Matt Groh list. Like to me, I feel like Matt Groh deserves more criticism. Whether you want to blame him for evaluating talent in the draft, or you want to blame him for not, sticking up to Bill a little bit more. At the end of the day, like your name is on the team too. So if you're looking at it and you tell me and you tell the reporters, you want to draft fast guys, want fast guys, draft fast guys. You want, what's a number one receiver, Matt Groh? It's a guy that gets open no matter what. Do you have one? Not really. So, like, why not? Like, you're the director of player personnel. Like, you're telling us in training camp that you're spending money now, that, you know, you're talking to us after the draft instead of Bill. So why not? Why don't they have better talent on offense?
Sure.
I think and I also would put it on
It's a
him.
fair take.
And Cam Williams, because like, you're the younger guys here. Like, you're the guys that are supposed to be able to scout, offensive talent. You're the guys that are I was at Boston College's pro day with Cam Williams and watching Zay Flowers, and they didn't care. Like, they didn't care. And it just, so what's the disconnect there?
Yeah. Okay.
So that's a good one, though, because you ended up hitting on that pick. So that's, you're going to look at that down the road. Would you rather have Zay Flowers or Christian Gonzalez?
Why not both?
Well, now you're talking about a different argument, though.
But it's just like they have no sense of urgency whatsoever with upgrading the offense.
Yeah. Now,
So-
my answer would have been Zay Flowers, by the way.
Yeah,
But
it doesn't, regardless,
That's
it's
tough.
just, they just have no sense of urgency. So you're telling me that, all right, by the time they got to their pick in the second round, there was no wide receiver or tackle worth taking.
Right.
So why did you stay there? Like, and does draft Keon White, who
it's a great point.
is fine, but isn't going to really move the needle.
And just in full disclosure, I would not have said Zay Flowers at the draft. I would have said Gonzalez.
Yeah.
But because I wasn't a huge believer in Zay Flowers, but I'm just looking at the first half of this year, I look like I'm wrong.
No, I mean,
my concerns about him were size. So we'll see how he holds
No,
up.
but
But the guy can obviously
I think
play.
I would have been happy with either pick.
Right.
I knew more about Zay Flowers at the time. From what I've seen from Christian Gonzalez, I'm perfectly happy that they drafted
Oh, no,
him.
I am too. I mean, I don't know how you cannot think that they at least have a promising player here.
Me too. It's just the lack of, I love Christian Gonzalez. You all know that. But it's just the lack of urgency in whatever avenue you want to talk about, the draft, free agency, trades, whatever. They just have no urgency to, truly upgrade the offense. And I have to think that's everybody's culpable in that, in my opinion.
Fair enough. Mark's in Everett. What's up?
Thank you, Freddie, for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Sure.
And you guys know I grew up in Everett with Paulie, so we've seen some bad Patriots teams, and this was a bad Patriots team. But, I'm glad you brought up Matt Groh, Billy O'Brien, Troy Brown. There's a lot of coaches out there that are responsible for what we see on the field week to week. It's not just Bill. And I wouldn't want to give up Bill unless I knew who was coming in his place. Even though he is in the Marv Levy era now, and maybe it is time for him to go. But we have to be careful who's we're going to bring in and under all that pressure that they're going to come in with. It's got to be someone who's really confident and knows what they're doing. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Everybody wants that next young guy, but unless that young guy has already been a head coach, you're taking a big risk.
Yeah, but if I'm Robert Kraft and I've decided that Bill is no longer the best guy for the job, then I need to move on.
Yeah.
And I have to hope that I get it right.
Right.
Like, I don't just say Mike Dussault is going to be
get
better.
An experienced guy,
I don't think the guy I have right now is working. I need to make a change. I don't have any guarantees
listen,
that the guy who replaces him is going to work.
For the same reason that Bill started looking in 2014 because of his age and his contract status with Brady, I hope that the Krafts are, because of Bill's age and his status,
that's a big part
that
of it.
they've been doing their research, and if it happened today, they would know the 3 guys or 4 guys who they want to target.
Right, and just out of point of comparison, the last guy that the Krafts fired was Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
How's he done since?
Pretty good.
Anybody regret it?
Pretty good.
Nope.
Nope.
Right.
Because you got a guy who was better.
Right.
So, you just have to make the move. And obviously there's no chance of that happening with Belichick. Coming into next year, he'll be 72. He's not going to have a 20-year career like Pete Carroll has had.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate the call. Paul's Foods here. So we got to take a break. When we come back, more calls and emails. And Evan back from practice here on Patriots Unfiltered.
Daily fantasy partner of the New England Patriots. New customers can download the DraftKings app now and play free for millions in prizes using code PATS. That's code PATS only at DraftKings. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get my plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get my plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
And we're back with another edition of the PU Halftime Show. Matisse Bauman here, joined by Faith Worrell, a recurring guest of the show.
Yes, I keep getting it brought back.
Okay, Faith. So the Patriots have put me and many other people in a bad mood. And so this episode, for trivia and for the topic, are going to be not that Patriots focused because me, like a lot of people, I need a break. So, trivia. Don't answer the questions. We're going to take this to the movies, all right? Hope Paul likes this. Question 1. In The Longest Yard, 2005, with Adam Sandler, what was the final score of the game? All right? Mean Machine versus the Guards, the final score.
Good question.
Question 2. In the movie, Remember the Titans, what was the game-winning play call? All right?
Nice.
Question 3. In 2006, in the movie Gridiron Gang, which, air quotes, actor played as the assistant coach? All right, the air quotes there is your little clue.
Little hint.
Yeah, a hint. But Faith, as I said earlier, the Pats have been pissing me off. Sorry, I think I can say that. So we're going to talk about what everybody likes to talk about, including the guys on Unfiltered, NFL jerseys.
All right.
All right, and one team made a big return to the jersey scene with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers debuting the return of the creamsicle jerseys. First time since 2012, and Nike knocked it out of the park with these. I don't know what you think, but
I was a big fan of them. I really liked them. I was excited, too, for the Vikings Classic to come back.
Yeah.
Kind of simple, but I liked what they did, at least in content, to promote it. I love fun jerseys. Like
the more the better.
The more the better. Keep it interesting. I mean, the Eagles doing, like, their green, the Kelly green, like, I just think the more options you have, the more you're going to get fans engaged. Obviously, fans are going to want to buy it. Like, I think we should do more city jerseys, similar to baseball and stuff. I feel like that would be sick. But, yeah, big fan of the Bucks, too.
Yeah, I mean, it just reminds me back in 2009. It was like the something anniversary of the AFL, and every team had 2 throwbacks, and they won them like 3 times. And, like, most of them were like the Pats had our throwbacks, which I love those, by the way. It's the only thing I love about the team right now. But we had the white ones. Those looked great. They wore those a couple times.
Yeah.
You had the Reds. The Titans were wearing the Oilers jerseys. And, you know, I mean, Faith, we've been struggling as Pats fans, minus last year when we brought back the Reds.
Yeah.
It hasn't been great.
It has not been
We're the
great.
team with one pair of pants.
The one pair of pants team.
You know, last year we saw the silver pants come back, and that was a disaster for that game. Don't want to get into it. Sorry, I'm getting salty right now.
Matisse is getting worked up
but
over
then,
here.
I'm laying out my inner Evan. But then you know, you just see teams like the Chargers. And, I mean, last night they played a close one with the Cowboys, where the Cowboys were in their throwbacks too.
Yep.
But, I mean, Faith, my favorite jersey right now, and the Chargers don't really have a throwback anymore. They just have the powder blues.
Yeah.
The Navies.
Okay.
They wore them against us in 2020.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was 2020, or maybe it was Mac's rookie year.
Yep.
And I think those are, like, the cleanest jerseys.
I like them. I think, like, anytime you've got the all navy, I'm not a fan of white football pants. I'm not a fan of the white pants. I feel like the all navy is a nice look. I hate to give a shout out to the Bills, but I like their all red. I'm a fan of the red.
See, I think they're too close to our Reds.
Well, yeah, I mean, we basically have the same red, other than obviously we have different blues, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on the Seahawks all neon green? How do you feel about that?
I don't really like.
Is it so ugly it's good? Or is it just ugly?
Kind of. I'm thinking like the early, 2010s when they debuted it. But what I do like about the Seahawks, which I don't think they wore them yet, is they're bringing back their 90s ones. Which I never saw those in person or, live.
I wasn't alive.
Yeah, I was too young to watch those. But I was from the Bosworth days. I'm pretty sure it was the Boz.
The Boz days.
Yeah, like they have theirs. Also, so the greens, it's fun. Because you know why not? That's the thing. That's why the NFL is so strict about this. Because you only have so many games. You got to wear the classic jerseys. I'm sure there's contracts with Nike and stuff, but the more the merrier. I mean, also give a shout out to the Giants. The throwback helmet with like the old Giants text on it.
Yeah.
is
like
just
those.
the way to do it. I hope, Faith. I mean, it's funny. I used to love when the Pats wore the color rush. Like,
yes.
it was fun.
Color rush was a cool thing.
But now it's too much.
Yeah.
And it's like now it's like this is our jersey, and I'm like, no, like this was fun.
Yeah.
To wear. Thank God Brady got to wear it once, but.
True. Have you seen? I know in the pro shop they sell black Mac Jones jersey.
Like, do it. Just do it. I would love it.
Some black.
You can't go as a former soccer player, and like so soccer teams they change jerseys.
Yeah.
Literally every year.
Yes.
And they'll do special. Cause there's so many games. They'll do special edition jerseys.
Yeah.
If you get all black, like it'll always look clean. But
yeah, I think it'd be fun. I mean, I just think like fans love it. Like it's fun to watch. Like I don't know if like there was one time on the show that I do that we were talking about just matchups that look nice, and I'm thinking like Minnesota Vikings and Philadelphia Eagles. Like you got the teal and the black, then you got the purple and gold.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, for people especially like. Now there's a lot of Swifties that watch football. You know, you got to watch an aesthetically pleasing matchup.
Yeah.
Some of them jerseys are great.
And also, look good, play good. I'll never
look
forget.
Good, feel good, play good.
Exactly. I'll never forget. It was the Jets. I think it was Robbie Anderson a couple of years ago before they switched, and he was like, I didn't even like get excited. I mean, first of all, because he was on the Jets back in the day, but he's like, I didn't even get excited to put on the jersey. And now it's like the Jets have the green. The legacy one, which Aaron Rodgers got hurt in. Sorry about that. And they have the black still. At least they have options. Like we wore the whites for the first time this season.
Yeah.
And like we can't even. I know you said you don't like the white pants, but I mean even like an all white look would be fine. Just something.
Yeah.
Like even just from a content standpoint, like the Jags. Like
thoughts on the Bengals? I gotta ask.
Love them. The whites.
You like the white?
Oh, the whites are awesome.
It's giving zebra. I have to admit.
But that's the thing. You wear it once a year, and it's like a special occasion.
Yeah, I like. What was it? Whatever game they had last year was in the snow with the white.
Yep.
That was good. I think all of that white was nice with the jerseys. I think.
All right. So before we wrap up, give me your top 3 jerseys.
Ooh.
In the league. And also, before we do this, I forgot to mention, on the trivia, guys, this was for the game day posters.
Which are sick.
Yeah, they're sick. Guys, even though, the Pats aren't doing too well right now, like, these artists went all out. They look really cool. Collect them. They're limited edition. So the trivia for today is the posters. Send those answers into webradio@patriots.com. But, Faith, give me your top 3 NFL jerseys, and I'll go real quick, too. Then we'll go back to the show.
Ooh, okay. All right. So I really like the Carolina Panthers colors. So I like when they're wearing black, and you got like the sky blue color. So I'll go with that as one. The Vikings classic is nice. I'll go with that as 2. And then I hate saying it, but I like the Jets like rebranding. Like I'm kind of a fan of their just like they're green with like the newer logo and stuff. I'll go with those 3.
All right, I'm going with the Chargers powder blue.
Yep.
Throw the navy in there too. Just Chargers know what they're doing.
Yeah, they do.
It's tough. This is pretty similar. I'm gonna loop these two, put these two together. I'm gonna go with the Eagles all black and the Ravens all black. I just think they're very similar. Two birds.
Yeah.
And the Pats Reds.
The Pats Reds.
I love them.
They're classic. They're
but
classic.
We need to bring back the royal blue. All right, guys. Thank you for listening. We'll be back to Patriots Unfiltered.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
oh no!
Replacements were shipped with FedEx, and with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
And now, great moments in history.
And neither is anybody saying that Cole Strange can't play.
No, but
they say he struggled as a rookie and he was overdrafted.
Paul.
And that's a bad pick.
Some people say it's a bust.
Yes.
It's not a bust.
Year 1 was a bust.
That's not what I just said, and you know it.
Okay, well, what do you think is going to happen?
I don't
You think
know.
he's going to end up being like a first-round
But
pick?
I think it's just as stupid to say I know he's going to be a Pro Bowler as I know he's going to be a bust. Same way with Marcus Jones.
It's not just as stupid to say the second part because he was a bust in year one. He wasn't anywhere near a Pro
First of all,
Bowler.
he wasn't a bust.
He was, Fred.
Oh, come on.
For 1 year. Like, I'm not saying that ends his story as a player.
I didn't say you said
But
that.
in year one, he was in and out of the lineup due to performance.
And like the emailer said, we knew he was going to struggle his
No,
first
I
year.
didn't. I don't pick first-round picks as plug-and-play guys that I know are going to struggle.
Listen.
Then it's a bad pick.
It's not
one,
a bad
one of the two has to be true.
Well, we'll know it's a bad pick in a few years. But right now, you can't say that.
This is my whole thing about
It's-
offensive linemen.
it's not
why
fair-
you can get away with taking offensive linemen because no one will ever call them a bust.
You just did.
I will, but no one.
Oh,
will.
Paul is the only one.
See,
Paul.
now he's going to completely change the narrative of this argument. Be snarky,
no.
make fun of me,
Other
so everybody laughs at him.
No,
and then we'll
you're
just
not on
completely
an
ignore
island.
the fact.
You're not on an island.
Yes, people do not declare offensive linemen as readily busts as N'Keal Harry.
You are not on an
Was
island.
N'Keal Harry a bust?
You are not on an
Was
island.
N'Keal Harry a bust?
Yes.
Okay.
You are not.
Was it okay to call him a bust after 1 year?
No.
Okay.
It was not
Then you're
okay.
consistent.
It's
What do you
not
want me
okay.
to tell you?
It's not okay.
What do you think he's going to be?
Cole
Strange.
I think he's going to be a fine NFL player.
Okay, I don't.
Okay.
That's another great moment from
Oh boy.
Why is every one of those great moments in PFW history, whatever, like me and you just bickering, like two little
Because we're the only
children.
We're the only ones that have, what it takes.
Yeah, well, I clearly
what
won.
it takes.
I clearly won that one.
Well, we'll see. But right now, you're trending in the right direction.
My larger point, which you always ignore, is no one calls offensive line because as long as they're in the lineup.
Oh, that's true.
Like
For
Isaiah Wynn was a bust. I'm
Right.
sorry,
It's
he was
just
a bust.
It's just harder to tell.
But he
if
played.
They're not
so-
productive. They're not catching balls. It's so easy to look at a wide receiver and be like, he doesn't play.
N'Keal Harry, everybody saw it. Like he didn't catch passes.
Yeah. Nobody's
so
like-
he's a bust.
Well, I don't think I don't think it's
Treadwell,
fair
remember
for
him?
any
Oh,
guy
yeah.
that's picked in the first round after 1 year to call him a bust.
No, I agree generally.
Any,
with that.
I don't care what position.
No, I think you deserve 3 years to sort of make a final determination.
Sure.
But I think people will look at wide receivers and say, like Tyquan Thornton, he's headed toward bust category.
Right.
But they won't do that for an offensive lineman in the middle of the second year as long as he's playing.
Yeah. Well, Cole Strange ain't playing, so.
All right, show within a show, halftime, PU, whatever you want to call it. We did some trivia, gave away some T-shirts. The first question was, in The Longest Yard, 2005 film with Adam Sandler,
the remake,
what was the final score?
Matisse.
Didn't see.
Didn't see it.
Did they change the game?
I don't know.
The original Longest Yard
33
was
to 30?
the prison show
No.
movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same movie.
Oh, it's a
Yeah,
remake?
It's like Burt Reynolds, I think. Was
Yeah,
it
Burt Reynolds, right,
yeah. They redid it with Sandler.
What'd you say, Paul?
I want to say like 33 to 30.
Close, 36-35.
36-35.
Tyler in Providence got it. Good job, Tyler. Second question was, what was the game-winning play called in Remember the Titans?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. Sunshine. I just remember Sunshine.
Fake 23 blast with a backside George reverse.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but I did ask Bill Belichick about that.
Oh, yeah?
What do you mean? You asked him about the Remember the Titans movie?
Yeah, go ahead. Why don't you finish the trivia questions?
Well, the winner
we'll
was
get to story time.
The winner
later.
was Jake from St. Louis.
Good job, Jake.
And the final question was, in the 2006 movie, I'm sensing a theme here. In the 2006 movie, Gridiron Gang, what actor, and that's in quotes, played as the assistant coach?
I didn't know what that movie is.
I didn't see Gridiron Gang.
What was it?
What actor played as the assistant coach? And actors in quotes, so
Must be like an actual player or something.
And I don't even know. The answer is Exhibit.
Oh, Exhibit.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that a rapper or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, and the winner was Anthony Taylor. So
no relation to Fabulous.
Good job, Anthony. I don't know if it's Anthony in Taylor or Anthony Taylor, but either way, good job.
Oh, Freddie. That's untoward.
Because the other ones that had where they're from.
So, Remember the Titans was like Northern Virginia.
Yeah.
Early 70s, I'll say mid 70s maybe, early 70s. So that's around where Bill grew up, Annapolis area. And I asked him, I assume that I bumped into him on the elevator at a road game. That's how long ago.
Small talk time.
Yeah. And I said, hey, I wanted to ask you something. I assume that you're familiar with Herman Boone, the coach that they made the movie out. He goes, oh, yeah, he was a big deal in high school circles, a really big deal. And I said, so please tell me that they used a little Hollywood license and they didn't run the ball for 75 yards for the last play of the game for the winning touchdown. And he started laughing. He had no idea. But it was just like one of those deals like.
That's good, Paul. That's better than strange weather we're having.
Yeah. Well, I've had my share of
awkward elevator rides.
I've had my fair share of those as well.
A little cold today, huh?
Yeah, but I just thought that maybe he would know a little bit something about the actual season and how much Hollywood took.
There, he's gonna start breaking it down for you. Oh, what they did was that's what we're hearing.
Hey, guess who just got back from someplace?
We don't have the sound.
Oh, we don't have the sound?
No
Matt, no sound?
No Matt, no sound.
All right, well.
Wasn't there? That's
too many. Yeah, you sing the song.
That's too many buttons.
Evan, is back from
button
practice.
Has returned. If you're going to, God, I hate when they get the words wrong.
This is.
All right. What do we got, Evan?
A little bit of a train wreck. Anyways, a little bit of a lengthy list still of absences at Patriots practice. No Jonathan Jones, Keon White, Hunter Henry, Josh Uche, and Trent Brown, all missing from practice. We did see a Juju Smith-Schuster returns to practice, but yeah, those 5 guys? Yep, Jones, Keon White, Hunter Henry, Josh Uche, Trent Brown.
Juju
not there.
It's returned to practice.
Yay.
He was concussed. Now he is not.
I'm glad he's not concussed anymore. In all sincerity.
Well, that's Trent Brown though, huh?
Yeah, no Trent Brown.
He'll be back.
Yeah,
he'll be fine. I agree.
2 million reasons for him to be back.
Right. Hunter Henry, that'd be a significant one too.
So 61 degrees out.
Balmy.
Yeah. Balmy.
Yeah.
Nice day. Nice day.
Pretty much the same weather we're going to have Sunday. Is that?
I've been keeping a close track on that because my wife and kids are going to the game, and it seems like cloudy and kind of cool, but maybe a little bit of chance of rain, but it doesn't seem like anything too crazy.
Yeah. How was the media?
You know what? A lot of disappointment around the media right now, and I think that this is something.
You disappointed in them, or they're disappointed?
Just general just disappointment.
Like, I didn't sign up to cover this team.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, and I know that Paul's shows get this a lot, that, oh, you must be happy that they're losing. Like, no. Like, this is the total opposite. Like, obviously it's a little bit different for us, but
it's the dirty little secret of the media.
And just in general, like if they're not winning, there's no interest in the team, and if there's no interest in the team, nobody's reading your stuff. So whether it's like because you have a little rooting interest or it's because you just want people to pay attention to the team, either way, losing stinks for everybody.
It can work in the short term, but it is absolutely a dirty little secret in the media, especially on the radio. Yeah. I think people would be shocked to find out how much my shows care about wins and losses in that regard, because it's tough on ratings.
I wonder, but we've seen engagement. Like, people want to call. I mean, every time they post something I write, it's like, people are just yelling at you. But, I mean, it's still engaged. Like, I just wonder, we're 5 games or 6 games into the season, whatever, is it going to sustain that, or are people going to start checking out?
And I agree 100% with Paul. Like, that's what Paul, I think, is saying, is that okay, we can do the hysteria thing for a couple weeks, but once we get to December, it's going to be old talking about how bad they are every single day.
Well, I think there's going to be intrigue in what this offseason is going to look like.
Let's just say they go 5-12, just pick a record, and then Bill ends up no longer being the coach. We will have a ridiculously successful offseason of shows for us.
Oh, yeah.
Selfishly, we will have a tremendous amount of interest leading up to whoever they hire, in the aftermath of who they hire, the draft and what they're going to do, how they're going to remake the team, and it's going to lead us all the way from February to training camp.
Yeah,
we will have no problems engaging our listeners.
Oh, it's going to be the search firm of Barth, Lazar, Rousseau, Perillo,
Good law firm.
Now, the only thing about that is that will work this year. Go 5-12 again, people will stay because you probably got a new quarterback and you got some newness. Do it a third time, and they say, all right, I got other things to do with my time.
Got to find talent, got to win games.
Now
You can't lose consistently without losing fans.
Travis in West Virginia writes in at webradio@patriots.com, just to offer an alternative opinion, I don't like watching Josh Allen play. I think that style of play is boring, and I can't wait until defenses in general wise up and learn how to prevent quarterbacks like him from having success when they roll out of the pocket. Also,
just wise up, Paul. Just figure it out.
Also, intellectually, Josh Allen is the male version of Jessica Simpson.
Okay.
Oh,
I thought that's my favorite. That's my favorite.
Jessica Simpson.
I think
and
that's.
I'm sure it's the same guy too. That does it to me every time.
Patriots fan.
Josh Allen's dumb.
I don't know how you can think his playing style is boring. The guy plays balls to the wall every week.
I don't think he's really being serious.
Yeah.
I mean, aside of Mahomes, I don't really think there's a more exciting guy to watch.
Yeah.
I would say Mahomes is probably a little bit more because he's faster.
He's better.
And he's better.
Yeah.
And he just does like.
But I don't know how you could not like watching. I mean, aside of against your team.
It's maddening to watch when you're rooting for the defense and you're like, we got him. We don't got him. That just happens way too much.
Bert in Burton Island has a complaint to me.
Oh.
He said, Fred, this past Thursday during picks, I did not detect the usual paper rustling when you skipped over the Patriots game. It may seem like a small thing, but actually, it is things like this in these forlorn football times that your faithful listeners want more than ever. That's not want with an O. Things like gotta hurry and ahoy polloi. And when Evan returns from practice, I most definitely need to hear Fred ask about the mood and if there was any grousing. Thank you for your service, Patriots Nation, in these troubling times.
Attention to detail.
We're still on practice. Were they in pads?
Yes. Pads on Wednesdays has been a theme.
Yep.
But don't look too much into Tuesdays, Fred.
Yeah.
Tuesdays are just Mondays.
Yeah. So they
Not
say.
buying it.
So they say.
But yeah, Wednesdays are Wednesdays. Padded practice today, and big emphasis on early down offense and defense and that sort of thing. Goal line, red zone type stuff too, a little bit. But yeah, big emphasis on first and second down on Wednesdays.
Yeah. I think they figured out on Tuesday how to get an extra practice in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I asked you off air if that is something that they have to sort of run by the players.
Sort of the CBA on that one.
Yeah. So, anyway, 855-PASS-500, webradio@patriots.com. Lots of emails. I really appreciate it. Some of them silly, some not. This is a silly one. The decline of the Patriots can be attributed to one exact moment in time. The 2019 celebration for the Patriots' last Super Bowl victory, when Rob Gronkowski used the Lombardi Trophy as a baseball bat and dented it, angering the football gods.
Oh. Maybe we could get one of those things where you pull it out, like on a card dent.
Yeah.
Reverse the curse.
Was that the one? There was the Rams?
I don't know.
I thought it was before that.
Yeah, I think it was
for some reason I thought it was before it too. But I do like those kinds of emails.
I think it might have been the 51 one.
Yeah.
Because it was at Fenway Park. It wasn't here.
Oh yeah, it was at Fenway.
He dented the one he didn't even play for.
That little video that we put up in 24 hours had 2.4 million views.
Oh baby.
Yeah.
Of him denting it?
Of him denting it.
Yeah.
Good
you know what he did, right?
Oh, yeah. No, I've seen it.
Yeah. Michael's in Vermont. What's up, Michael? Michael. Are you in Vermont? He's not there. All right, we'll go to Jesse in New Bedford. What's up, Jesse?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey.
Hey, Jesse.
Hey, how you doing? I'm going to kind of talk to you guys about something. I came across something about X where I know everybody's down on Mac. I know Evan, which I'm surprised, had embraced the tank the other day. But I got a little thing to compare with you guys, if you hear me out for a second.
Yeah.
Now, everybody was saying the same thing about Tua 3 years ago. And I'll give you the comparison. They had
Devontae Parker.
They had Devontae Parker as his number one receiver. He had Mike Gesicki as his tight end. Coach Flores, the New England head coach, as his head coach. Chad O'Shea was his OC. What did they do? As the media, the fan base wanted to his head. They said he was garbage. He was a bust. What did they do? The
Not
owner?
accurate.
He fires Flores. He brings in Mike McDaniels. He drafts Waddle. They bring in Tyreek Hill.
and all of a sudden he's an MVP candidate. So there's no way, nobody can't tell me, you cannot do that with Mac Jones, where when they asked Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith who they were going to have as a quarterback, before they could even finish the question, they said Mac Jones. I'm not saying he's playing great. I'm not saying you can win this. He can elevate everybody, but he can do what Tua is doing. I know that for a fact. You just got to build.
You don't
around
know
him.
it for a fact because you've never seen him do it.
But
I've never seen him do it, but I'm comparing it with Tua. Everybody is calling Tua.
So I'll compare apples to apples with Tua. They were both at Alabama together with all kinds of talent, and Nick Saban didn't think it the way you do. And Brian Flores lost faith in Tua because he couldn't stay healthy and kept removing him from games. There's a difference between everybody wanted his head. That's not what happened. He couldn't stay on the field.
Yeah, but you can't deny the similarities with the two quarterbacks and the situation and the mentality of the media and the fan base.
All I can tell you is that
can't deny it.
even now there's a strong backing of Mac Jones because he has nothing around him. In Miami, they were all over Tua because he couldn't stay healthy. No one ever said what you're saying about Tua. They're saying that he's not the answer. He's too small. He's fragile. And I still think a lot of those questions exist for Tua. He's small and he has a concussion history. And if I was Mike McDaniel, that would worry me. Mm-hmm. But when he's on the field and he plays, he's played well. And that was before he got all those weapons. He won.
All I'm saying is it goes a long way for the coach and the owner to build around you. You've got to build his strength. Look what they did with Lamar Jackson. They build around his strength. If you put Lamar Jackson in the Brady offense, everybody would be calling him a bust. It would just be a little bit different because he can run around a little bit and make plays. All I'm saying is build around your quarterback strength. That's what they did with Tua. Now look at him.
I like the spirited defense. Thank you, Jesse.
I don't disagree with like 99% of what he said.
Yeah, I think they should build around him. Absolutely.
I just think that it's too far gone. Like the time has passed to do that. Like Tua was 2 years into his career, and then in year 3, they made all of these changes and got him the weapons and got him Mike McDaniel. You're going into year 4 with Mac Jones. You have to make a decision on his 5th-year option. Then you're going to have to extend him. And like I think that the leash has run out. Like the rookie contract and all these things that we talked about maximizing, the leash has run out. So unless you're telling me that you're going to be able to do all of those things in one offseason, which Miami didn't do, by the way, because they drafted Jalen Waddle first, and then they traded for Tyreek Hill the following offseason. So now we're talking about doing all these things in Mac's 5th-year option. Then we're talking about, well, if he plays well, we're paying him $45 million a year, and then what happens? So I just think that your clock has run out on trying to do it the Tua way, which is the most disappointing part.
And I would agree, like, they should do more to get more around Mac Jones.
Or the next guy.
Yep. Oh, yes. I'm all for trying to get better on offense. I'm not arguing with that part of it. I'm just saying this, like a lot of Patriots fans, this Jesse in New Bedford is completely dismissing Tua's role in their success. And I think that the guy is pretty good. I think he is clearly better than Mac Jones.
I agree.
I think he was better than Mac Jones in college. He's better than Mac Jones in the pros.
I agree 100%. I mean, I don't know why Tua has this relationship. I think everything you said was true. Concussion history, certainly. But he's done more for me than I've ever seen Mac do with some of the passes that he's made that just leave me shaking my head. He's an excellent player.
They have excellent weapons. It's just undeniable.
Yeah.
Waddle and Hill.
He's an MVP guy. I mean,
Waddle and Hill are tremendous. They don't have a good offensive line.
I mean,
the one guy they brought in for the offensive line really hasn't played. Teron Armstead. He's been hurt. They brought in Isaiah Wynn. That was the guy you couldn't wait to get rid of.
I think, Tua, like I said, he's really impressed me. The accuracy, the anticipation. I compare it a little bit to Drew Brees. He's really done well. And listen, look at what he did at Alabama. Yeah. When Jalen Hurts wasn't playing well in that championship game.
Right.
And they put him in at halftime, and he wins the game for them.
As a freshman without having played.
That's big balls right there. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's something.
Now, we can all argue how good would Mac Jones be if he had weapons? And I think that's a legitimate
he would
it's a
be
legitimate
better.
Conversation, and I think he would be better.
Yeah.
I don't think he would look like Tua.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure he would look like Brock Purdy.
Yeah. But he'd be better. There's no doubt.
He'd be better.
How good would he be, though? Is he
definitely
the
not
guy
paying
that
attention.
Evan says you want to extend and pay $45 million?
And that's the big question. Evan's got the
Because that's what you're going to have to do
the whole
for your
crux of the
quarterback
problem
eventually.
Evan has. Like
Yeah.
you have to figure out what you're going to do down the road now.
I'm just worried that could it be better? Absolutely. Like,
It will be better.
It would be better, no doubt about it. But I worry about like the David Carr thing. Like, have they just ruined him?
Right.
Like, and at that point, it will look better because the playmakers will elevate him and make plays for him. But is he ever going to be good enough to get it to that next step? Or can he be put back together mentally, physically? His footwork, his processing, like his decision making, like
His attitude.
right? All
like
of it.
everything that goes into it. Like I think sometimes some quarterbacks are made to look better than they are because they're just loaded with intangibles. And I think his intangibles aren't great. You can't quantify it, but I don't think that his handling of the adversity over the last year plus now has been great. Not what you're looking for from your quarterback.
The sad thing about it is the one thing that they said that he had in that quarterback class was the pro readiness and the ability, the cerebral part of it.
Yeah, I think he does.
But we're not seeing that.
Oh no, I think we're
seeing happy feet under pressure,
but he's beaten
not
down now.
and,
That's physical,
but not surveying the field and that whole thing.
But I think
Brokeback Mountain.
Oh, you blew it, Mike.
I had my one chance. I just say
that's why you have to be like Fred and practice in front of a mirror.
Paul, appreciate it though. I mean, with Tua, the funny thing for me is like I just honestly had to get used to watching him play lefty, like a lefty quarterback.
Well,
I
get
feel like
used to it because we're gonna have Michael Penix next year.
I like that. Like took a while. I'm like, just it looks weird, but somehow the ball is exactly where it needs to be.
It's crazy.
That video they have online where they flipped it and they like put a mirror of him throwing right.
And I do think
and it looked perfectly normal. That blew my mind.
Part of I do think that what McDaniel has done, I think it is very much catered to his skill set too. Like it's one thing to have these great weapons.
What's wrong with that?
But I think that the things that they accentuate in that offense are things that he does really well.
Sure. Yeah.
And I don't think just anybody would do it. I'm not telling you he's the only guy. He's not the most talented quarterback out there, not by a long shot. But I think that he's undersold a little bit.
In his first 2 years in the league, I never looked at Tua and said, "Oh, he's broken." Like his footwork's all over the place.
Against the Patriots,
his
for sure.
decision making's all over the place. He just
concussed.
He had some durability issues, and like physically, he's not like the cyborgs that I talk about, like the Allens and the Mahomeses and the Herberts, and so he didn't have the talent around him. And he was kind of just like it wasn't as explosive or as dynamic, but I had never watched him and thought like he doesn't know where to go with the ball. His decision making is broken. Like those are the things that I see with Mac right now that I don't think Tua ever got to. It just wasn't, it just had a ceiling with what they had with Tua in the first couple years.
Let's get back to the phones. We'll go to Michigan. Tony's there. What's up, Tony?
Hey guys, how we doing?
Good.
Long time, first time.
Thanks.
Nice.
So I just had one kind of quick question.
Okay.
Brought up some more things to touch on. So just kind of touching on what you guys were just talking about, I do think Mac is ruined mentally now, and I think it happened that night against the Bears when the whole crowd's cheering for Zappy to come back in.
Mm-hmm.
And to Deuce, are we having fun yet? How much fun is this rebuild?
Poor Mike.
Oh, okay. We can move on from
It's
that.
all right. I'm the only one.
I didn't think it was going to be. I didn't think it was going to be this miserable. I didn't think it'd be this bleak.
Right.
But hey, real quick, stop, real quick. Would you be excited? New coach, top 5 pick. Would that be fun for you at all, or are you going to be miserable through that too?
Oh, 100%. I'd be with it. I'd be with a long-term rebuild, too. I'm fine with being terrible for a while. At the time that they let Brady go, I was kind of, not that I wanted Brady to go, but I was kind of with you that it was, an exciting, let's see what happens.
It's like jumping off a cliff. You're like,
look at that. He was actually with you. He was with you.
Yeah. And I was the Anthony Taylor who won the trivia question.
Oh,
but
nice.
I can confirm I'm not in Taylor. I'm in Michigan.
Okay. All right. Well, big day for you.
Don't give up.
Congratulations.
Tony, the day ain't over
And
yet.
so
You got time.
The actual question that I had was, so do you think the current state of the team is due to Bill thinking that he's actually making the correct moves to build a competitive team in the modern NFL, or at the pressure from Robert to field a consistently competitive team and get back to the playoffs kind of, made Bill say, well, I'll just do all these stopgap signings and these Band-Aid veterans and, we'll coach them up to be playoff competitive, but he actually knows deep down that this isn't a team that's talented enough to compete. And so I'll just leave it at that and take it off.
Okay. It's a fair question.
It's a great question.
So is ownership, still in win now mode, and he's making moves to try to appease that while also looking to the future, or, in spite of the future? I don't know.
I'm very confused by the question.
Then why would you draft a guard in the first round?
Right.
Why
do
would
think, do you think, we don't know, obviously, but I'm asking what people think, that going into this season in training camp, do you think Bill said this is not a contender in his mind?
No.
I think he felt like they could. I think Robert's comments in the offseason would certainly indicate that they felt they were better than most people thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't look at either side of that. I think Bill obviously is 71 years old. He has some urgency to win. And Robert's in his 80s. He probably would like one more shot.
Yeah.
Before he turns it over to Jonathan. So I can understand both of those guys still being in win now mode, and it just hasn't been a great rebuild from Brady.
Yep.
It's the draft picks, and it's just I think we have a lot, and there's a lot in this question. I think it's good.
Yeah, it was good.
was
good to chew on.
I think some of it I almost connect to like N'Keal Harry of it all, where it's going with him over the A.J. Browns or the Debos of the world, that signifies the big guy and what we want. And then you have the Edelman comments of he didn't look like a first rounder. And so it's, to me, I'm finding my thought process going to was he too attached to an old style, and should he have been had more foresight into what direction the league was going, and has been going for a long time, frankly. And that they were able to, as everybody says, use the human spackle to kind of keep you in those shootouts when they did happen against Kansas City. And, you knew you had that gear in the back pocket because you had Tom. But, really, if you stuck another quarterback in there, would you have really had that gear in those games? Maybe you would have won other games where you're able to tough guys out and we're running over them and those kind of things. But, I think that's what it really boils down to. As much as Tom covered up a lot, I think it really came to the forefront when you got in those games where you had to score a lot of points, and he just went berserker.
But in terms of the rebuild that he was talking about, I remember before Tom left, but toward the end, we would have the discussion. People would say, when Brady leaves, you're going to suck.
Yeah.
And we're like, maybe, but it doesn't have to be that way. When you lose your best quarter, you don't have to suck. There is the other alternative road that you go down where you're okay. Not as good as you were when you had the greatest player ever, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to suck.
I would say people that said that at the time probably looked at the roster and said, this is a guy who's dragging every ounce of success out of this team.
But maybe, he leaves and you realize,
18,
okay, we can't rely on the quarterback. We need to boost the roster. Unfortunately, the series of, things that have happened since Brady left have been bad moves, and
the N'Keal Harry thing is
that was terrible.
It's a great focal point.
But think about Dominic Easley. That was terrible while Brady was here, and they overcame it.
I got such a good point. No, we couldn't write it, but I feel like you could write this as just through the lens of his first round picks. Go right through those first round picks from 15, 16, 17. Chart that and say, why did they pick this guy? What direction was the league headed, and what did he give them? And I think that I don't want to pound the draft too, because you have to be able to hit in free agency. But I just think the selection of Isaiah Wynn, an undersized guy that might be a guard, a running back, Sony Michel, not even that explosive.
You can make an argument that they missed every year since Hightower and Jones, until Gonzalez.
Yeah,
and then he got hurt in 4 games.
Yeah, that's it.
And they're not all colossal. Dominic Easley was a bust, right? Malcolm Brown played, but I would say, that's a miss. Isaiah Wynn played, but I would say that's a miss. And then N'Keal Harry, bust. There is no other definition.
It's like
Bust.
other than Hightower and Jones, like the real game changers that they got over the years were kind of not dumb luck, but somewhat just dumb luck. Like Gronk worked out, Edelman worked out. Like
yeah, that's what I always wonder.
Part of it is
like,
law of averages. You're right.
It's like what would have happened in the 2010s if Edelman doesn't come out of nowhere as a 7th round pick and Gronk's back doesn't hold up as long as it did, and like they are in a situation like would they then have gone after weapons? Like would they, you know, and like they did make the Brandon Cooks trade, I guess, but like then they got rid of him the very next year instead of giving him a contract extension. So like would they have been more aggressive? Like they got, I don't want to use the word lucky with Gronk because they identified him in the second round and they drafted him in the top 50 and they made the pick. But
I get what Mike is saying.
Yeah, like
a lot of other people I did that too, but couldn't pick them because they didn't have Bill's gravitas.
Right, and like a bunch of like, you know, if that is like what they're trying to do again now is like they're hoping that Demario Douglas hits in the 6th round or Tyquan Thornton hits in the 2nd round, and these picks are not working out, and you don't just always stumble into it that way. Like it doesn't always just like, it's not going to always work out for you that way.
I think you got a little glimpse of it in early 2013 where after Welker had left and you had Gronk coming off an injury, so I don't think he was available early in the season. You brought in Amendola, who got banged up in that first game where they pulled out a miracle against the Bills, and Edelman wasn't Edelman yet, and you saw like who they were bringing in.
Dobson
like, you know,
and Tompkins,
you draft Thompson, you pick up Kenbrell Tompkins, who's the guy with the Colts guy with the visor that played a little bit in 2013. Austin Collie. You know, like I think you're right, Evan, in that if those guys hadn't emerged, if Gronk hadn't come back and given them what he gave them in 2014, 2016, or 2015, those ones where he was such a big part of the championship, I think it would have been similar to this pretty quick by like 14, 15 if you don't have Edelman and Amendola and those guys emerging.
And I just think like the landscape, and this is like where my whole thing comes in with like the approach, the philosophy. Guys like a Gronkowski that are that talented and that good, that they go so much earlier now and they're worth so much more to teams. Like you don't just get Julian Edelman in the 7th round anymore. Like that just doesn't normally happen like it does because receivers go much earlier in the draft because they're more valuable in today's NFL. Or if you have guys like that, like Edelman and Gronk, signed that contract right when he was eligible, right? Like 2 years into it or something like that. Like Gronkowski in today's NFL is a $25 million player. Like that, they're not going to pay Gronkowski $25 million a year. And so
another often overlooked portion of this.
Mm-hmm. Right. So like all those guys, and I think Mr. Kraflick even said it on like that recent news interview or radio interview he did recently about, how Brady did take less money to play for the Patriots. To like that's not happening anymore. Like all these guys are getting paid top dollar. So if Gronkowski, if you fast forward his career 10 years later, like, are the Patriots paying him $30 million a year to catch passes from Tom Brady?
Does he get to a second contract?
Yeah.
Eldred's in North Carolina. What's up, Eldred?
Hey, fellas. How y'all doing? Ladies, if it's going down.
No.
Evan?
Actually, Faith's here.
Yes.
Welcome to my world. I've been saying that for years. And, Paul, I love you and Fred's fight on Great Moments of PU.
Yeah.
But you're right, Paul.
I know.
You're right about Strange. I called him a bust. Y'all laughed at me. I called him N'Keal Harry bust day one of the draft. And I told you.
In fairness, Andy and I called him a bust during OTAs of his rookie year.
Wow. Oh, okay.
We were out.
But,
as soon as he couldn't move.
Yeah.
Couldn't move, right. He couldn't catch, couldn't get open then. He couldn't get open in the NFL. That's what I kept saying. But my question is this, okay? Nobody ever thought about this one, though, but let's say end of the year, Mr. Kraft tells BB, you got another chance to do this. We're drafting in the top 5. What do you think he'd do with that pick? I'm going to tell you what I know you'll do. Trade down to get value picks and think he'll build a team up from there. That's my option. What do you think he'll do?
What do you think about that, though, Eldred? Would you be pissed if he did that?
I'd be pissed as hell.
Yeah.
Of the whole thing. And I'm like you, Fred. I'm not giving you Paul. Tear it down, start over from scratch. None of his system, none of that. And Evan, I agree with you. You give him a top 5 quarterback, he won't trade him right because he ain't treated right. And like I said once before, and y'all laughed at me about this, when a great quarterback leaves the team, and I gave you 5 examples, the team always goes down, and the coach still be there. And it's the quarterback, not the coach. And y'all laughed at me, but proof's in the pudding with our team. Cowboys did it. Steelers went through it until they got Ben. Dolphins going through it. Cowboys ain't been back yet. So proof's in the pudding. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Eldred. Well, you can't argue, right?
I am definitely worried about not just like the coaching of the quarterback himself, but is he just going to put the next quarterback in with Vidarian Lowe as his right tackle and Devontae Parker as his number 1 receiver and like just do the same roster building around the quarterback all over again? Because that's what you're doing. If you draft another quarterback, you're hitting the reset button on the whole thing. Like you're restarting the clock on the rookie contract and you're starting from scratch. And I have like more confidence in him coaching the quarterback and doing the whole like, Belichick, magic 8-ball thing of like what's going to happen, what the defenses are going to do and this, that, and the other thing. But like, is he going to put the talent around the quarterback necessary for Drake May to succeed or Michael Penix to succeed like he didn't with Mac? So like, why am I believing that he will?
I don't know where they're going to end up, but I feel like there's going to be so much more to put back together than just Mac or the quarterback or, like if the season continues on this trajectory, you're going to have to restore trust, restore belief in the system. And it's hard for me to see how that happens unless there's significant moves made.
Speaking, Fresno writes in, Fred asked Christian in Attleboro, is this Chris with a T-I-A-N? The poor guy says yes, because that's how his name is spelled. And Fred's like, no, it isn't.
Absolutely.
Evan has mentioned tanking happens from the GM on up. Frankly, I have no idea what's in Bill's head. Maybe Bill is so confident that he believes he has time to rebuild again and still catch Shula. Maybe his contract allows for such a scenario in ways we don't know. I think it's highly unlikely Bill is tanking. But if he was, wouldn't it look much like it does? What moves on or off the field do you look at and say, if they were tanking, you wouldn't expect to see that? I'm seeing more that fits a tank than doesn't. But, of course, it could just be that the program sucks now.
I think that's like the only way that you can look at it in a positive light is that he knows that they were going to be bad. And so, like, starting Vidarian Lowe at right tackle and not doing anything to make it better is just
I don't think that they have a lot of telltale signs of tanking and I've gone through this ad nauseum. It's not an effort thing; it's a personnel thing. So I'm not going to go through that whole thing, but I think they still tend to, like first month of the season, Adrian Phillips wasn't playing that much. Now all of a sudden he's playing more, and Mapu plays nothing. Like I think you would be turning it over as many times as you could to young, unproven players when you had an option.
What if those young, unproven players are better? Like, what if you think they're better in practice than the?
So now you're going deep dive. I listen. I don't.
Because this is because like was it Spee or whoever emailed in that said that like that's when I say that tanking starts at the top. Like those are the types of decisions that you make where it's like we're not playing the best players or we're not getting the best players because you're. But
you know what else you're not doing? You're not immediately activating a veteran like Riley Reef off of IR if you're tanking.
No, I don't think the Patriots are tanking.
No. I'm just saying, like those are the examples I'm talking about. Like, if you're tanking, Vidarian Lowe's playing, but you would have found a way to get Tyrone Wheatley on the field too, and you didn't. And listen, it's a flawed roster, so there's not a lot of examples. Arizona got rid of everybody, and they just let all of these unproven guys play. They have guys that I've never even heard of playing in Arizona, like literally names I don't even remember going through in the draft process. I'm sure you and Alex do. No, I'm not. I'm not making fun of you. You definitely have a wider breadth of prospects than I do, but I don't even remember these guys in like these recent drafts.
Is there a financial component too? Do you think of like guys who have certain playtime things or escalators, or are we now like
so Trent Brown would be one of those guys. Like you're not going to bench him and then subject yourself to that criticism if he's healthy. If he's not healthy, he's not healthy. That's different. But he has playtime incentives that you owe it to him to give him an opportunity to reach.
That's a good point. Dan's in Michigan. What's up, Dan?
Hey guys, we expected or the widespread expectation with O'Brien coming in was that the offense would be better. It obviously has not. Now, some of that obviously is due to the pieces that are involved, but it seems that it goes beyond the pieces in terms of O'Brien not having as much success as we expected. There's been some decision making that's questionable. Throwing it on second and third and short, running for it on third and long, second and third and long. Why do you think that O'Brien hasn't had more of an impact on the offense? Why we haven't seen more of the success that we expected from him?
I just think it's simply talent.
Players.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually
Thanks, Dan.
I think we get not to pick on Dan, but I think we get way too caught up in play calling. I think it matters in certain spots of the game and certain moments of the game and things like that, but everybody gets all, Alex and I argue about this on Catch 22 all the time. Why are they throwing it on 3rd and 1? Yeah. Well, because they got a look that makes that say that throwing it here is better than running it. It's not.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we haven't really had enough to judge O'Brien on those moments. You know, right now, the talent is just not good enough.
Yeah, I think now you need to see him though start to maybe just try to figure out a way to manufacture points somehow.
Can I go Billy O apologist for a second?
Sure.
And it is what it is. They haven't been any more successful offensively than they were last year. I'm not trying to use revisionist history, but I do think that they have faced a fair amount of really good defenses so far. And it's a small sample because you only played 6 games.
Yeah.
Sunday was the first game that I thought really, in the last 5. Philly, I thought it was a promising start. Then they kind of went, ugh. But Sunday, I thought it looked a little bit more like, okay, I saw some of these games last year. Mm-hmm. And not coincidentally, it was against the first defense. It was the Raiders this year. It was Detroit last year. Those are the game. Green Bay had a terrible defense last year. When they played them early in the year, they kind of got better. I think, 17, 24 points, that's kind of what they've been.
Yeah.
Now, the 3s and the 0s, what are we doing? But Dallas and New Orleans are pretty good defensively. Now, they shouldn't be shutting you out. I'm not trying to – I'm only apologizing so far. Yeah. But I do think if they played that caliber of defense on a regular basis last year, you would have had some really, really bad games just like you did.
I think the design of the offense, too, is just significantly more advanced and better. I'm not even just talking about, necessarily, the actual play design itself, but just, the answers involved in the offense. The answers for the quarterback. The throw to Zeke on Sunday where they get a blitz and they block it incorrectly, but he still has a hot to get the ball out, and so he doesn't get destroyed. The answers for the receivers, the stacks and the bunches and the motions and things it's definitely just a completely different conversation. The one thing that I think that Billy O hasn't brought it back is the discipline, in terms of running routes correctly all the time. The penalties, this procedural stuff. He said it on Tuesday, and I thought both of his answers are really good. And, he said he called the start of the game with the 2 penalties ridiculous. And, you could tell that it was just he wanted to use a different word, but he used ridiculous. And then he used the delay. He said the delay game on the last drive of the game was terrible. And he was those are things that we just absolutely have to stop doing.
Mark's in San Francisco. What's up, Mark? You're the last caller.
Yeah, hey.
Okay.
I'm new to a team that is experiencing tanking or talking about tanking, so forgive the maybe very basic question, but I've seen a lot of, beat writers and people talk about trading away pretty much everybody. And I was just wondering what the point is of that, or no one's talking about, keeping foundational players.
Well,
I understand, getting rid of an expensive player, but we have a lot of cap space next year, and we need good players if you're, want to continue, try to be good in the future. So I guess
Well, it depends on who you're talking about. If it's a good player who is at the end of the contract, you're okay, is this guy going to be the long, part of our foundation? So it's not so much freeing up cap space money, it's getting draft assets. So even if they're 5th-round picks, 6th-round picks. You're building ammunition in the event that you want to move up and make a move. So,
and Mark, one of the things is a lot of people, myself included, and all of us on the show, we give a long list of names of possibilities. You know, the Hunter Henrys, the Kyle Duggars, the Jalen Millses, Josh Uches.
Kendrick Bourne.
Right, Kendrick Bourne. I don't think anybody would suggest they're going to trade like a half dozen players.
Right.
You take out of that group one, maybe two, and as Fred said, if you can get a 6th-round pick, and then so you add 2 or 3 day 3 picks, maybe you can package those and get into day 2 with them somehow. I think that's the thought process. But no one would suggest they're going to take all of these guys, all entering the last year of their contract, and trade them all, because you're not going to get anything for all of them, and it's not really
if a team, a contender like Kansas City needs receiver help or something like that, calls and offers you a 2nd-round pick for Kendrick Bourne, you have to do it. You have to take that trade.
Some team that might just look like they need some depth in pass rush goes for Uche.
Yeah.
Those are the kinds of deals that I think would make some sense. The one guy that I think could get you something, unfortunately, is hurt. Like, if you wanted to trade Judon, I think you might be able to get something for him, but that's going to be an off-season trade if they do it.
All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Patriots Unfiltered. Get ready for the playbook with John Rook. They're up next.
Step inside.
Got a lot of emails that we didn't get to. Maybe John will in his show. We'll be back tomorrow at noon. See you then.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.